Oh yeah, it's going down right now. Episode 64 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horrors coming at you live. I am your host, Moodz616, and of course, I've always got my two appetizing Italian dishes with me. Lasagna 22, also known as Jeremy, and of course, we got the Cannoli J, also known as JP. What's going on, homies? Almost got it out without laughing.
Do I come with a side of ricotta cheese with
Hell yeah.
Parmesan?
What is cannoli?
Cannoli, man? Cannolis is like a really good dessert.
And some schmegma.
It's really good, man. You got to try them. Just look them up, man. Very, very tasty. So that was kind of the joke there, JP, because you're real tasty.
I agree.
I don't know, man. I was just like, what am I going to say today? Italian dishes, you know? But yeah, of course, this is the fourth and final week here on Italian Horror Month on the podcast. And, you know, it's a little, it's satisfying to make it this far. But at the same time, it's like Halloween to me. It's like, you know, when Halloween comes and, you know, you kind of get depressed.
You mean when Halloween comes on your face?
Yeah, when Halloween comes on my face, I get real depressed because, you know, I don't really like things on my face. I have this, you know, I don't like things touching my nose. But, you know, it's like Halloween comes and then, like, you know how you kind of get that depressed feeling?
Yeah.
Well, now I'm kind of bummed out. I'm like, I'm done all the Italian films and I'm all bummed out. And I'm like, you know,
Italians and Halloween ain't going to come anymore, so.
No, it's not going to come anymore, man. It sucks. How are you guys feeling?
I get you, man. I feel that way, too. Like, I told you off air maybe a show or two ago that, like, I was really enjoying this experience. It would be nice to go back to like a single film in a week next week, because I had a rough one on this week, just, you know, really busy and stuff. But, you know, I love the concept behind it. I wish I was honestly going into it, I was just super worried about planning 4 weeks and being able to make all of them. But I think, barring any disasters right now, I think we completed it, and that's I think we should give ourselves a round of applause for that, because we that's like that. You know, that's a month straight of doing shows, and we actually started I think we're like 6 weeks in now, maybe.
Guess what? But guess what? It's still only 3 more films than the Children of the Corn franchise that we did in a week, so
yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
that's
when you put that in perspective, that's nuts. That just goes to prove how nutty that show really was.
Yeah,
man. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, man. You know, like, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot. You know, you watch these 3 films and, you know, you do the show and stuff like that. But if you're just doing one, man, it's a lot easier.
Oh, yeah, because it's like you don't even need to prepare for anything.
Not really, no. It's just
Come
one
in.
film. Watch it late at night, you know, and the night before or whatever. You know, it's all good. So
when you think about the way that it's not like to I believe Zach actually brought this comment up about like doing a podcast. It's like, well, all you do is record it. I know he's like joking and stuff, but it's the 3 films, right? How many hours is that alone? And then if you're taking notes or you know, you're maybe wanting to look something up afterwards, something you was confused on, like there's time there. And then the session, right? This recording session is usually between like 3 and 5 hours. You know, even talking the pregame and the postgame, like it's a whole day's worth of time. And then the edit and then the upload and all that shit, the thumbnail, there's a lot of time. So even when you do, for example,
okay, speaking of the thumbnail, made me fucking laugh so hard. So he was razzing me and giving us a hard time, or giving me a hard time and stuff about, you know, recording the show. He's like, I watch like fucking 20 films a week, man. He's like, it's so easy. Like, what are you talking about? All you do is watch movies and talk about them. And then when I was talking, I was like, well, you know, JP puts a lot of time into the thumbnails and stuff. And he's like, as we were talking, I just made 4. Started laughing so hard.
The time that it took you to explain that, I just made 4. But so yeah, I mean, all that time added up, it's a lot. And if you just take one film, you're greatly cutting all that time down, even the thumbnail. Like, because it's easier to do one. Like, those Italian ones take a lot more work than the regular ones that we do.
Yeah.
So I'll be just happy to
there's
be
a
able to do
specific
regular
style,
thumbnails
right?
again, you know. But yeah, I mean, Jeremy, how you feeling? I know you missed the Fulci show, so you're not feeling it quite as bad. But you know, that show, I really like. If you had one to miss, I almost wish that it wasn't that one. But then again, they were all pretty cool.
Yeah, missing the Fulci show, it sucks, man, because I really wanted to hear your ratings on those films, man. I know we talked about this before, but you know, it sucks.
Sorry, I was getting a sand abortion. I'm sorry.
So how are you?
Yeah.
No. It's an interesting month. You know me, I'm not very well. My
Verse?
Italian films are not my forte. Let's just say that. It's not like Moodz who fucking jerks off to Italian films every day.
I do.
So it was an interesting experience. Probably films that I would never watch on my own per se because I wouldn't have any motivation. Maybe Bay of Blood would probably be the only one, and Cemetery Man would probably be the only two I would probably watch on my own. So,
But don't you ever get really curious? Because I mean, let's face it, man. Like,
I want to see the Sister of Ursula one that you told me about. I do want to see that one.
Actually, I was just talking about that one. It was my number one on my top 10 sleazy flicks. Okay, it's good. But no, I mean, just really like, there's a lot of, really big Italian horror fans in the group page alone. And, Italian films get talked about all the time. Doesn't it ever just pique your interest to be like, oh, that one does actually look pretty damn cool? Because, I mean, let's face it, they get talked about quite regularly.
Oh, yeah.
So
My thing personally was the directors. That's why I wanted to do a director's spotlight and not just pick 9, 12 random Italian films. Like, I like the idea of doing the director's spotlight because if there's anything over the years that I've heard more about is the directors. Like, I heard more about Argento than an Argento film. Like, I've heard more about Fulci than House by the Cemetery. Like, the directors were really what I'd always heard about, and I was like, well, if I'm gonna get into Italian horror, why not start with like the directors themselves?
yeah.
Because other movies are pretty much different type of films. Maybe besides Argento, but like I said, I didn't really watch Fulci, but at least with last week's show, they're totally different types of films. I think Bava is the same way. They're 3 totally different types of movies.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
It's interesting to watch a director from his first film or his first major film to his latest major film and see like, oh, it's interesting how they progressed as an artist over those time periods. So it's interesting.
Suave definitely had like the widest range of films. Like, those 3 films are so different.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like The Church is like the most Italian of them, like the most classic like Italian horror film of the 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, really, like we said with Cemetery Man, it has that total New Zealand Dead Alive type feel to it. So,
Oh, yeah.
it definitely kind of gets away from that, that Italian feel. I mean, not like it still feels Italian, you know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know. With these 3 films, they're quite different too. Of course, today we're talking about Mario Bava, Mario Bava's films. Black Sunday, also known as The Mask of Satan from 1960. Blood and Black Lace from 1964.
Really beautiful film.
And of course, Bay of Blood from 1971. And theoretically, these movies are completely all different too.
Oh, yeah.
They're a lot different. And it's interesting too, because if you watch a lot of Bava's films in between those years, so that's 11 years in between these films, and you watch some of his other stuff in between, it's crazy, man. Like, he directed he directed like a Hercules film one time or something like that. It's really fucked up. Like, he dipped into other genres too, so it's really crazy, but really cool stuff.
I think I have one question to ask you guys. How was your fucking Black Friday?
Oh yes, that's right. It is Black Friday.
Or your Black Thanksgiving.
Fuck, man, this is fucking Black Friday. Okay, so I was just recently complaining about, which I always do, complain about, shipping to Canada. Well, here's a perfect example of something that just really got me going. I was like, fuck. Actually, I wasn't even mad. I just bursted out laughing all by myself and said to my dogs, really? Are you serious? I was like, this is unbelievable. So Severin Films is having a great sale right now.
Yeah.
It's 60%
I even ordered
off.
shit.
And Severin titles aren't the cheapest generally, right? They're pretty expensive. So 60% off is a fucking good deal. So I was like, giddy up. So of course I go on the sale or go onto the site. I add 12 things to my cart. It comes to, I don't know, fucking $195. Put in the coupon, 60% off comes to like $93. I'm like, fuck yeah, dude, this is crazy awesome. So then I go to click out and the shipping price comes in $87 shipping to Canada. I'm like, that's not justifiable. It's only 12 movies, man. Like, you could put them in a box this big. It doesn't cost $87 to ship. So
realistically, how much does it cost
to ship
It'll
that?
probably be $30.
Maybe, if that. It just depends, right? Like what carrier they use and stuff like whatever. But I mean, really, $87, that is just outrageous. Like, who's going to pay that, man? Nobody. So, I mean, they're pretty much getting no international customers right now. There's no way. I mean, one movie was like $16, I think, or something. $15 or $16 to ship just one title.
That's insane. That's like a
Yeah.
$3 thing.
Yeah, dude, that's not right. That's not
It's
right.
like
So
it's sometimes cheaper to ship to Canada than it does to like California.
so what it was like $15 or $16 for one title, and then $6.50 per item after. I'm like, motherfucker, $87 later.
I paid $4.50 total.
So
I didn't want to
essentially,
pay that.
so essentially, what happened was the 60% off with the shipping came back to 100% price. It was like there was no deal at all. It was right back to the original price.
It just sucks because it's literally a line. Like,
yeah,
it's not
I
even
know.
like across like an ocean.
Yeah.
No,
You
I
know
know.
what I mean? It's because like just the way the system works and going across the border. It's messy, man. It honestly is so disheartening to think that like if I was in Canada, I would like really hate my life because of that. Like I find it would be so hard to be a collector. Like
it is, man.
I
It's
wouldn't be
really,
able
really
to do
frustrating.
it. Like I wouldn't be able to get nearly the collection that I have now because you know I could never afford like that type of shipping, or even less than that, really. Like even some of the lower tier amount of shipping that you had to pay over the years, like that is even too much for me.
Oh, I know.
I didn't even want to pay $4.50.
Yeah, me and Jeremy's collection would be like nothing.
See, that's crazy, man.
It would be
$4.50, and you ordered 3 things, and Jeremy, you ordered 2 things that are big.
Yeah.
Like the video nasty sets are like the thick boxes, so it's like,
Oh,
you know,
they're-
it's a little
they're
bigger package, a little
boxes?
heavier. Yeah, they're the thick ones, not like, you know, like the kind of like the double
Oh,
DVD
okay.
size, you know, because there's 3 discs in each, right? So,
Yeah.
but the point is, $4.50 is like amazing. Like if I saw $4.50 shipping, I'd be like, yeah, giddy up. You know, it's pretty good shipping actually. It's Mondo Macabro to Canada. Like it's not too bad. Like I think I paid like $10 or something for 4 movies, you know, a while back. And I'm like, that's amazing shipping, you know, to Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds shitty to you guys, but you know, theoretically it's $2.50 a movie. I can't pass that up, man. It's really good. So
And there's me and JP bitching about Hastings charging $1.29 per item. We're like, okay, fuck.
But it just adds up so much, dude, because like you want to get quantity when you go Hastings. Like you just get a ton of stuff, and then you're like, the shipping's more than the price.
Well, fingers crossed for free shipping on Monday.
see, the best for me though was, you know, I used to order a lot from Second Spin because, you know, I'd wait for the 30% off sales, and they always had a flat rate shipping to international. Like international shipping there was $9.99.
Don't they still have that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you know, so but right now I don't do many orders anymore because our dollar's so low, so it just erases the 30% off, right? So I just pay full price for everything, so I don't order. But so I would take advantage. Like I would order 30 to 40 movies at a time and pay $10 shipping. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah, you know how much money they were probably losing?
Yeah, I know, it's so crazy sometimes. I'm just like, shit, man, awesome, and I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it.
They have a 30 off free shipping right now.
Yeah,
I like Second Spin. I got last Black Friday. I got a bunch of horror documentaries. That's why I started that kick, that Horror 101 kick, because I had bought like 10 or 12 horror documentaries on their sale last Black Friday, and I haven't really poked around too much because I just, you know.
Well, what
I
did
went
you
out
buy this
last
Black
night.
Friday?
Yeah, I was gonna get into that. I went out last night
We
to
should talk about our hauls.
Walmart, and normally I'll just show up right when the stuff goes, you know, on sale, like right when they allow people to buy stuff, and then I'll just walk in with the huge crowd of people going into the DVD section. The problem this year is they actually had it locked down. They had gates up and stuff, so you had to actually get in line.
What?
And I was like bummed because the line wrapped all the way like down like the whole food aisle, up another food aisle, down another food aisle, up another food aisle. It was huge, dude. It was the biggest line in the store. So I got in it and I waited and I waited and I waited. By the time I got there, everything, I think like most of the big stuff like the Black Ops 3 game and like Madden 16, like there was one copy each of both of those. There was one copy of Mad Max left, and it was like, it sounded like the disc was loose. So I start looking at stuff. I grabbed 3 things. I grabbed Spiders, 3D, Machete Kills, and Annabelle on DVD. And as I walk out, I noticed that the Machete Kills disc is loose. So I was like, F this. And I tossed it aside. And then the other 2, I was like, do I really even want these? And I said, no. So I put those down. I literally got no DVDs. Went over and bought an Xbox One just because I wanted something. And then pretty much I didn't get anything this Black Friday except for I found Army of Darkness for like $16 instead of $17.99. And then I've bought the Hannibal season 1 for $5, which was on
That's a good
Blu-ray.
deal.
That's a deal of the Black Friday to me, because I don't even know how you make money on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got one of those too.
But that was my Black Friday. It wasn't
got
very
some good stuff. I ordered a bunch, like 10 things, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You got anything, Moods?
Black Friday. No, I haven't bought a thing.
Wow.
Not a thing today. I was just not even. I mean, like I said, the whole Severn thing just kind of fucking rubbed me the wrong way. So I was like, fuck it. And the last thing I'm doing is I'm not going out. So, I'm not going out anywhere. So, I did search around on the net. I looked at a couple places and they didn't even have sales going on. And I was like, okay, that's enough. I'm done. And Amazon is not even an option because they are completely garbage with these sales. Like, they don't have shit.
Really? I got 3 things off Amazon.
Yeah, I couldn't really find much either.
I actually only searched for about literally 5 minutes. I was like,
I just wait for everybody else to tell me where shit is because I don't feel like looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with the group page, dude. That's a really good option nowadays.
That's really the best way to do it. I mean, honestly, that's how I find out about things. I mean,
but you know me, I'm always looking, so
yeah.
That's my thing.
It just takes so long.
No, it's Blu-ray.com, man.
Yeah, that too. But I don't even I just want to know horror stuff. I don't even care about 16 candles for $5. Even though I do love
$3.96, man. I had to buy it. That was a good deal.
No, that's a good deal and stuff. I just don't collect those.
Mm-hmm.
That's a John Hughes movie I still need it, so.
Yeah.
Well, I bought some non-horror stuff.
SpongeBob movie.
SpongeBob 2, Dumb and Dumber 2, John Wick, Maggie. What else did I get? Mad Max, Fury Road, Ex Machinima, 16 Candles. What else did I get? I got the Severin. I got Video Nasties 1 and 2, and Lost Souls 3 discs edition, and that's it.
Hannibal.
That's it. And Hannibal.
Yeah,
and then on Monday we'll see what I'll pick up.
Not a damn thing.
Yeah. On a positive note, they're finally doing that Hey Arnold 2 movie, right, guys?
I know. I saw that. I had an instant boner.
That's
my vagina shriveled up. My vagina shriveled up and a dick grew.
Wow.
Nowhere.
That's incredible.
So I'm a real
That's
man
medically
now.
incredible.
I'm a real man now, so fuck you guys.
Pinocchio's more of a real man than you.
So I had like a little bit of downtime this week and stuff. So I decided, I was like, you know what? I like barely ever watch TV series. And I was like, hey, this one's really short. And I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to sit down and watch it. And so I decided to watch season 1 of Scream. I watched the entire season.
You started talking about that you started it. So you actually went through, huh?
Yeah, like I said, I watched the opening scene. And then I was like, hey, I'm just going to go through it. And I watched the whole fucking thing this week. And my final thoughts on this one, I didn't really care for it, man, to be honest at all. I to be honest, it just never grabbed me, man. I felt like, without getting too deep into it and stuff, I just feel that I was watching a very, very drawn out slasher film. Instead of watching a 90-minute or 100-minute Scream film, which is cool, this one is 7 hours. So there's a lot of time where there's a lot of downtime and there's just things that are kind of slow and stuff. But, that wasn't really the biggest problem for me. I felt like there could have been a lot more kills in it, maybe even better kills, but it just wasn't intense. It didn't really grab me, and I wasn't sitting on the edge of my seat and things like that. And to be honest, I wasn't, drawn in by the characters either. Like, and there was a little bit of subplots and sub stories in the film or in the TV series that I thought were totally lame and just not exciting. Like, it wasn't really bringing anything. They didn't try to tie in those overly that well. But it was, the characters and stuff. And there's just a lot of kind of mediocre things. Like, I'm not saying they were terrible. The show wasn't terrible by any means. Yeah. It just wasn't great. And I will say that I didn't guess who the killer was. I thought I knew who the killer was, but I was totally wrong, which is good. I didn't actually predict, which, I won't lie about. But, overall, it just, as a whole, it was, thinking back on it, I'm just like, yeah, it was really, it wasn't that exciting. And I won't lie, like there were some episodes where I couldn't wait for the episode to end. You know, leave you with that, you know, that kind of cliffhanger, and then okay, we'll start again, and then, you know, but then it would slow right down, and then things were happening. I'm just like, wow, man, I ate a lot of food watching this, dude. It was just, I gotta keep myself busy. But
Yeah,
you know, like I said, I totally won't say, you know, don't check it out or anything. I mean, some people might really enjoy it. I just,
a lot
for
of
me,
people did actually.
you know, I just felt it was really, really too drawn out. It was a 7-hour slasher film, is essentially what it was.
Yeah, which I think is what the goal was.
Yeah. And it
but-
it plays out like one big ass fucking movie. It really does. Like everything just kind of like where it leaves off, it starts up right there, and you know, which is cool, you know.
Didn't Ty West direct an episode?
I
Yeah,
think
he
the
did.
biggest, one of the biggest things for me though was a lot of kind of almost generic dialogue and stuff. Things just weren't overly that fun. I mean, they didn't, you know, like in the original Scream film, you got what's his face,
Randy.
funny guy, yeah, Randy, and you know, they have, you know, that type of character in this film. He's okay. He's actually probably one of the more likable characters. He's not
That's
overly
what I
fun.
thought.
They do some you know, they do a lot of you know, kind of like, you know, nudges to the original Scream and stuff, which is cool, but they don't do a lot, which I did like. And but
You
you
did
know,
like that?
the characters, there's one joke that actually made me laugh quite hard. Actually, it was pretty funny, and it was by a character that I didn't really even care for. It's later on in the season, and he goes, he's referring to like technology. He's like, what? He's like, what the fuck, man? What is this, 1996? And I was like, that's funny. That's funny. It was like one of the only jokes that actually kind of made me laugh. But I don't know. You know, overall, if I had to rate the entire season, I would just give it a 5 out of 10. You know,
Yeah.
it's very, very average to me.
Yeah,
So.
you know, like I said, when I watched the first 4, I think, and I told you that I didn't care for it. In the pilot, I definitely didn't care for it, but I didn't, like you, I didn't think it was necessarily bad. It's just I was like, nah, this ain't really my thing. I didn't expect to really like any of the characters anyway, because they're supposed to be like the teenagers of today, which are completely different than my generation. So I already expected. I was okay with that. I just felt like it was, for Scream, it just was not like as at the tier that we're used to with Scream. Like Scream is a complex, like sophisticated type of intelligent narrative. It really is.
Yeah.
And this one just seemed like a watered down version of that. I didn't like that there wasn't enough callbacks to the original series. I hated the backstory, and at least the first 4 episodes, what I got for the backstory, I was like, they should have just fucking like made the backstory about like what it was, like the original films. Like why not continue with that?
Yeah, what the story comes, you know, when the actual story comes out and like the killer's revealed and like, you know, all the things and stuff, I'm just like, I literally was like, you know, I was like, okay, whatever. I just, you know, I really wanted to like it though. I was really hoping I was going to like it, because I was, like I always said, I was very curious on how they were going to do a slasher TV series, you know?
Yeah.
And like I said, it's essentially a 7-hour slasher film. So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well-
you take the good and with the bad, and, you know, watch it if you want. I don't fully recommend it. It is average to me. So.
I thought Scream had more legs than, say, a Friday the 13th slasher show, because Scream has all that, like, in jokes. You know what I mean? So I felt like it would carry better.
Well,
but
it
I
also
don't think
has
they
the
really
possibility. It also has the possibility of having a lot of twists and turns in it too.
did. Yeah, because that's what Scream was, right?
Exactly. And, you know, with the amount of characters. And that was the thing that really kind of bugged me about this series, is that the twists and turns and things weren't overly executed that well. And it was just like, it was tedious, man.
Well, they
It was
are
really
going with
tedious.
different showrunners for the second season, so I mean,
Yeah,
they're
well,
gonna
that
change
I
some
mean,
stuff up.
I don't think it's any, you know, spoiler or anything, but they completely set it up for a second season, which everyone knows there's a second season coming, so you kind of assume that.
They
anyways,
announced it
so.
before the first season was even done.
Yeah, and
And-
just the way they leave it too, but you know, the very, very end of the TV series is so predictable though.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my god, right? Like, not when they reveal the killer, but some people might get it, some people not. I mean, you know, it was okay.
I do want to
And-
check it out eventually. I will.
And I will,
Yes.
yeah, you know, like, you know, without getting into spoiler territory, but I didn't really care for the scene where the killer was revealed in it either. I just felt like it was so generic, man. I was like, really? They're gonna do what?
Yeah.
What? I was like, what the fuck? And it didn't even make sense to me. The way the whole scene even goes down, And just the way things happen, if you watch it and you think back on it, you go, that's fucking stupid. It was actually kind of executed poorly. It felt like the rushing. Or
I thought the
writing was a
opening
little rushed
could
there.
be described the exact same way you just described the ending.
Essentially, yeah. And you know what's really sad? Actually, the opening scene is one of the better scenes in the entire series.
Okay, so I gotta say that I am pretty proud of you for actually watching a TV series, because I think it's been a while for you, and
Yeah,
I encourage you to maybe get into some Bates Motel next.
I think I will, because I've heard really good things about that, and it can't be.
It's definitely better than Scream, dude. You honestly, you have to I feel like the people that don't like it are very resistant to the new Norman Bates and the new mother and stuff like that. If you're just like okay to roll with it, dude, I think you will find it enjoyable, because there are some actual moments of like suspense in that show, and it happens later on. But I'm excited to actually eventually check out the future seasons, because I actually watched the first season all the way through. I was really into it. But yeah, that's something that is on my future watch list too.
One last thing I'll say about Scream 2. I know a lot of people had, I mean, from what I heard, the consensus was, they didn't really care for the mask and stuff like that. To be honest, the mask never bothered me one bit.
I liked it.
I actually kind of enjoyed it. It never bothered me for a second while I was watching the show. So it's nothing to do with them not using the original mask, which they couldn't, and things like that. But like it didn't bother me one bit. Had nothing to do with the mask. So there's just other elements that weren't that exciting. So
all right,
but yeah, that's what I did this week. I watched Mario Bava films and I watched Scream.
That's cool.
Yeah. Cool stuff. All right, so JP, we got some news.
Yeah, a little bit. Probably one of the least amount of news we've had in a little while. And let's start with this little interesting nugget. So the producers of Return of the Living Dead, Rave to the Grave, and the Necropolis one. Well, let's go back a little bit. That guy I know because he originally tried to stop More Brains from being released. Because he's like, I own the rights to these films. You can't release a sequel. And they're like, it's a documentary. And they're like, well, I own the rights to sequel. Or like, I forget what it was. But he tried to stop it from being released. He failed. He was a dickhead. Everybody didn't like him. So this guy, I'm assuming that it is the same owner that owned those films back then. It could have changed hands. I didn't look into it. But apparently he's selling off the original 35 millimeter film reel and all the rights to those two films on eBay, nonetheless.
eBay?
Yeah,
he got real classy,
now.
didn't he?
Gotta send me this shit. I gotta see
Yeah,
this.
He got classy.
He's selling the rights due to the inability to store the 35 millimeter print materials, which include the laboratory preprint materials, including brand new prints. Also, all the news sites are just important that he is only selling Rave to the Grave, but he's actually selling both of those.
$49K?
Yeah, he wants around $50K for each of them. Damn. Not even for both of them. He will take a best offer, but he did say quit offering $1 because I'm not taking under $50K or $40K.
Who the fuck would spend $40K on those movies?
Those movies were shot in 35 millimeter.
I guess 2005, so they were the film was still being used back then.
Oh, I'm just surprised, man. That's crazy.
I know how much shipping is? $111.41.
Don't you think you should do free shipping when you're asking for that much?
Yeah.
But yeah, I just thought it was
would buy the rights to that movie. It's like
it. Well, maybe he's trying to trick somebody into thinking that they're going to get the rights to the franchise, which is not the case. Because I would pay that for the rights to the franchise.
Yeah, but that's because the first movie makes all the money.
Yeah, but even the two other films. But that's something also that I just mentioned in my last video, that MGM owns one, Warner Brothers owns Part 2, and Lionsgate owns Part 3. So that's another tricky franchise. But yeah, so if anybody's out there balling, I think this is a well thought out investment. I think that it is.
100,000?
Yeah.
For both?
Dude, that's fucking pocket change to some people.
Well, I mean, I already got approved. I already phoned the bank. since you were talking about that. I got my 100K, man. I'm going to fucking... I wonder what the shipping is to Canada. What did you say it was, Jeremy? It was
phone the bank and see how much they want. It's $111. Wait, let me see if he ships to Canada. Oh, he doesn't ship to Canada.
Oh,
You can't even buy it.
Damn,
Moodz was really gonna buy it if it hadn't been for that.
Maybe if I offered him $115, he'd probably ship it up there.
He's from California. You could just drive down there and pick it.
Yeah, it's not that far actually for me. So
buy those movies.
100,000. Wow.
Dude,
if you're gonna spend 100,000 on the 2 movies, it should be free shipping for fuck's sakes.
Now, I thought this would be an interesting question. What do you think, based on just the limited knowledge of the film industry that we know and the distribution industry, what do you think would be the actual good price for something like that?
I have no idea.
$50K for both.
I'm thinking maybe 20,
25
20, 30 bucks.
I think 25K each is it. 50K for both.
I could see maybe like 30 grand for the pair. Really.
But all the rights too. If you sell them to Mill Creek.
But these things don't make money. People fucking hate these movies.
Yeah, but if you sell them to Mill Creek and you put them in the multi-packs and they fucking put them on shelves.
License them to Scream Factory. They can make a nice little double pack about it. Then you can have people like you and Zach bitch about it.
And then fucking buy it.
Yeah.
Idiot. Yeah.
I think 30K for the pair would be all right.
I honestly would have no idea what they would be worth. How I can monetize, how I can make my money back on that would be the question. Would I get sequel rights? Because then that might be all right. I can make a Return of the Living Dead sequel. I get Linnea Quigley involved.
I mean, that might even be the only reason to purchase those if it comes with the rights of making a sequel. Shit, man, maybe
the budget was
30 grand, 40 grand or whatever for that is worth it because you could possibly make a lot of money off that if you make a good sequel. Who knows?
The budget was $6 million.
Jesus Christ.
$6 million for both of them?
For part 4, it was $6 million.
Wow, that movie was $6 million?
I think that movie was a sci-fi original, was it not?
Yeah, I think they were both made for TV, weren't they?
And he's only asking $49K? Well, that's a pretty shitty investment.
Yeah, but he already made all the money on the movie. Or lost all the money on the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if those actually did make some money because when they were announced, right? Return of the Living Dead sequels, just name alone, people checked them out.
Oh, for sure. For sure. And all the completists out there, they've bought copies of those movies.
Yeah, I still actually
everyone's bought. Collection. Everybody probably has 7 or 8 copies of movies in their collection because they're in so many multi-packs and just things that you just have in your collection.
I want to read.
It's like how JP has 3 versions of Vampire Journals.
The film received a limited theatrical release on October 29th, 2005, where it was a financial failure, making only back $54,000 of its $6 million budget at the box office.
That movie went to the theaters?
It was probably really limited.
Yeah, but it made $54,000 of its $6 million budget.
Yeah, it was probably only shown in 4 theaters in the same city.
And does Rave to the Grave have Tarman in it?
No.
Really? It says here. The film also features a comical cameo appearance by Tarman from their original.
Fuck, maybe it does. I can't remember. I haven't watched those movies in years, dude.
Yeah. I've seen one of them back in the day on the Sci-Fi Channel.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I got them, of course, because, got to complete the franchise. But, man, I don't remember that cameo. That's fucked.
49K.
But then again, I don't really go out of my way to watch, Necropolis and Rave to the Grave very often.
Come on, guys. Let's go and get our couch changed.
I'd rather eat glass, really, and watch the Scream series over again.
If we put all our change together, we may be able to buy them.
God, that's a lot of money, man. 100,000 just seems. Whew. I don't know.
Listen, here's what we do, guys. We buy one of them. We get the 22 Shots crew to scrounge up their couch change. Then we buy one of them, and then somebody else buys the other one. They're all pissed because they're like, "Man, I wanted both of them," and then we sell it to them for $10K more.
Or we just redub them. Just put the podcast over and just redub them.
Listen, we license them to Mystery Science Theater 3K, have them do a fucking riff track on it.
Oh man,
that's not a bad idea.
And then
not a bad idea.
Redub all the characters' voices to our voices. It's brilliant.
Yeah, we could do that too. We can make that version. We could do a commentary with us. We can get the original Return of the Living Dead people to do a version where they talk shit about it.
I just think I don't think there's any possible way that we could, make money
back
off this.
$40K.
No, the movies have such a bad reputation that people are like, you're not fooling me.
Yeah, I don't.
Even if it does have the 22 shots of
commentary.
Moodz and horror dub track.
Yeah. Come on, it comes with a limited poster, guys.
Yeah, and a slipcover.
Yeah. All
Which
right.
somebody will steal in Walmart the next day.
He's got a boss slipcover.
With a locket on it so nobody steals the slipcover.
Listen, we can just release them as Return of the Living Dead 6 and 7. The Italians did it for years. We can do it too. Get them in Walmart, and then everybody will be like, man, these are like the exact same movies that I've seen before. And we're like, no, there's actually 30 seconds of new footage.
Yep, shot with my iPhone 6.
Yeah.
It's just Moodz's boner.
Let's move on. Next up, we have a little bit of TV news. So, do you guys remember way back in the day, 2003 to be exact, the Sci-Fi Channel began airing Tremors, the original series, on TV? Remember that? Yeah. I own that on DVD, actually. And I watched it when it aired, and I liked it. And apparently it had good ratings, but Sci-Fi canceled it anyway. Well, this year, as you guys know, Tremors 5 came out. And when it came out, Kevin Bacon was like, I'd like to do another one of those. I've always really had fond memories of those that Tremors film I did. I thought it was a pretty good, fun time. Well, guess what's happening now?
Let's get fucking to it, JP. God.
Suspense is killing us, man.
So
this is more suspenseful than the Scream series. I'm gonna tell you.
This is more boring than watching fucking hair grow out of your Mexican asshole.
Oh God. Okay, so anyway, because Jeremy has no patience and he's a little whiny bitch, Tremors, the TV series, is happening again with Kevin Bacon on board, both as an actor and producer. Universal Cable and Blumhouse coming together to bring the graboid shrieker ass blasters back to the little screen, and it's gonna happen. I think that's pretty cool.
So are they just developing a completely brand new series?
Yeah,
it's not
obviously not gonna connect with the original series.
Well,
that'd be pretty awesome.
That's cool, man. Kevin Bacon on TV.
Again?
Everyone is going to TV, man.
He already did that with The Following.
That's right. I'd never seen it, but that's right. Right.
It was pretty. I watched the first half of the first season, and it was really complex and intertwiny, but it was really cool as well. But it was a little boring. So yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty cool, man. I don't know, I know that we talk about this a lot about horror franchises moving to the TV era, but this is actually one that I think could work pretty well for TV.
I think it can work really well, actually.
Yeah,
completely.
It's like a Monster of the Week thing almost. You could do. So yeah,
I mean, I can see it's doing really well. I mean, it's Kevin Bacon. Who's picking it up?
Universal
and Blumhouse are partnering, which is cool because Blumhouse, Blumhouse is becoming a real player, man.
Okay, so where are they going to air this though?
I don't know. They're probably shopping networks unless Universal has it. Does Universal own a network?
Comcast owns Universal.
Yeah, I don't think it'll probably be on AMC, along with the rest.
If it made AMC, that would be huge. That's a huge network right now.
I don't think it'll make AMC.
It'll be like the EW or something, or the CW.
But I don't even think it would do well on.
I have no idea.
Either.
Yeah, I don't. Maybe the Sci-Fi Channel. I don't know.
Fuck it, man. Make it fucking HBO.
Yeah, that would be cool. But those films were always kind of kid friendly, so you might.
See.
All right. So after that, Carpenter is apparently working on some TV shows as a producer. Huh.
Yeah, I read this briefly too, and I was like, no, John. You know what happens when these older directors go into TV?
They die.
They tend to die. I was like, I just saw it happening. I was like, poor Wes Craven, rest in peace. But he goes to TV, and then passes away.
Oh, he's gonna have
And
to
then John
croak
Carpenter
sooner.
signs up. I mean, I looked at I read it, the brief write up on it, and it said that, John Carpenter's not working on one, he's working on 4 TV series. And I was like, oh my
Jeez.
God, dude, that's a lot of fucking work, man. Don't
Yeah.
literally kill yourself over this. So I'm really intrigued to see what he's
Well,
working on, because I would be happy just for 1, but 4? Jesus Christ, man. Like, he hasn't done it. He hasn't been really doing a lot of film related stuff in the last few years since The Ward, and he's been working on music and doing that type of thing, but not TV and film. So
I would go see it.
This
I
is
heard he was
intriguing,
gonna.
man.
I heard he was gonna do concerts. I'd go fucking see John Carpenter.
Apparently, he's coming back for like a show or something like that. He's gonna do a live show.
That'd be fucking baller.
Oh, that would be fucking amazing to go to, man.
Yeah, apparently he will be directing pilots if these things get picked up.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So, did it have any type of idea what type of shows they were?
Well, honestly, I didn't listen to the interview with Sandy King Carpenter, which is that his wife?
I believe so.
But one of my favorite podcasts out there, probably honestly the best in terms of, well, not the best besides us. No, I'm kidding. But the best in like
we're not good, JP.
They're in like the industry.
Yeah.
Killer POV, that's the podcast. They have actual like Stuart Gordons and.
Oh, we could have those people on there. We just have to fucking do it.
And they. They really they break some stuff. They've had Scream Factory on their show a few times and stuff. They really are a decent like podcast, and they actually all work for Blumhouse now. At least 2 of the 3. They just announced that a few episodes ago. So yeah, I mean they were on there, and they said Sandy Carpenter was on there, and she said, according to this quote thing that I have, it says that they're gonna push the boundaries of what's horror, and they're also one's like a sci-fi thing, and there's horror and sort of like futuristic thing as well. So I don't know. Who knows? Who knows if any of them will actually see the light of day and get picked up or what? But apparently it's like moving forward. Maybe, I don't know. I have to listen to that show, honestly.
Huh. I'm curious. I'm really curious.
Mm-hmm.
See what they come up with. But 4, man, that just seems so excessive. Seems like a lot of work. But
yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I do hear that the one thing good about the TV world is that it's fast moving.
Oh, really fast.
Yeah, compared to like film, which is like just this like
12 hours a day.
So grinding. Well, not even that. I'm talking about like pre-production and stuff. Just getting a film in motion and keeping it in motion is like way harder than TV. Adam Green said that recently on a podcast I was listening to. That's even though Holliston got like halted for a while, it moves fast once it gets going. So
because they shoot like 2 episodes at the same time,
and
shows do.
Yeah, and it's also just what he was saying was like just the moving parts of like when you go in to do a pitch and once it gets picked up, like that, all of that stuff moves really fast as well. When film, it's like, well, we need another rewrite. Well, we need another rewrite. Well, we need
doing a pitch is so fucking hard.
I imagine it would be.
It's terrifying. I've had to do it in school. It's fucking hard.
Yeah, now imagine if you're in there with like Bob Harvey Weinstein.
I know. I'm shitting my pants. It's hard because it's like, they ask you fucking stupid questions.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's a hard skill to do. But...
So after that, I believe we just have a few announcements. We have Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things coming out from VCI on Blu-ray, I believe. Yep. And
man, I am like curious as hell to see what that Blu-ray is going to look like, because every transfer I've ever seen in that film looks like complete junk.
It's public domain, isn't it?
No.
I don't think so, no.
I seen a print of it and it was garbage. I only seen like the first 10 minutes and then I left.
Yeah, because I think every print that's out there it was just shot really poorly by Bob Clark, so I'm curious, man. I can't imagine this Blu-ray looking that great, but it's got really cool cover or commissioned art for it, so.
Was there anything else, guys? Any other announcements?
I don't believe so.
Not that I can remember now.
No, I think it's everything. Is that all the news?
So, yep, that's all the news.
Oh, wow. There really wasn't a whole lot of news, was there? Crazy.
Everybody
All right.
takes Thanksgiving off. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is actually a holiday. All right, so getting into Moodz Swingz and the new releases, the DVD and Blu-ray releases for December 1st, 2015. Yeah, December 1st, man. We're getting so close to Christmas. Jeremy's jumping for joy.
Yay.
It's funny because he's a Jew.
8 presents, motherfucker. No, I get fucking nothing.
Yeah. All right. So one I've been curious about, I know there's been a lot of buzz about this one for, well, I mean, as long as I can remember, really. Lionsgate's releasing a movie called Cooties, another horror comedy in a basket full of them this year. Have you guys seen this movie?
That movie was like, why? I thought it was like pretty available like last year, wasn't it?
Cooties? No, it was like announced last year, I think, or whatever. And then
I don't know.
As far as I know, I don't think. I don't fucking know. I'm in Canada, man. I don't know what's going on. And I don't get shit up here, so no. I mean, as far as I know, people started seeing it this year.
Well, I know that it made a ton of lists last year.
Was it though? I seen it on lists, but like it didn't even have art. It didn't have anything. I didn't see any reviews on it or nothing. Maybe it was supposed to be at festivals, which I'm assuming.
I don't know. It might have been.
Yeah, I would assume.
Who knows?
Festivals.
But yeah. Season 1 of Fear the Walking Dead is from AMC is coming out here December 1st. I have not checked out anything from this. Have you guys checked out anything?
I haven't even watched the regular Walking Dead.
Yeah, I'm behind on that too. Actually, I've been waiting for the season 5 special edition to come out, but
I'll watch them once the show's over.
Yeah.
I hear my mom fucking screaming at the TV every Sunday, so it must be all right.
Yeah.
Not scared.
I don't know. I haven't really heard a lot of people talk about it. I've heard people say, it's pretty decent and stuff, and like nothing major. So, one I've been intrigued about here, for I think since Jeremy brought it up, I think I remember hearing about this film a long time ago and completely forgot about it. Being released by Anchor Bay, and it's called Goodnight Mommy.
It's supposed to be the film of the year. So
yeah, consensus is, man, it's pretty damn good. So
we should be covering it on the show.
2 weeks from today.
I'm curious, man. I'm really curious on this. So looks good, man. I love the cover. That red, and I don't know. It's a very kind of plain cover, but it's catches your eye.
It's supposed to be like this year's Babadook.
Oh, is that really? So they're gonna make a new Babadook every year?
Yes.
Next up here from Kino is a film called Queen of Blood, starring, of course, John Saxon. That's pretty damn cool. I think Dennis Hopper's in this film also. Really interesting. Yeah, Dennis Hopper. I don't know anything about this one. Nothing. But, it's Kino. It's Queen of Blood. It's Queen of Blood. John Saxon, Dennis Hopper. How can you go wrong? So, yeah. One here I have no idea about. It looks so damn generic, and it's called Return to Sender. Being released by Image. And, yeah, it's Image. It's got Nick Nolte in it, and he looks old as shit. Like old as sin, man. It's crazy. I don't know. It's probably like some type of thriller. Who knows? Now, I didn't know what this was at first, and then as soon as I clicked on it, I was like, oh, yeah, I know what this is. Tokyo Tribe. I think it's not necessarily a full-blown horror film or something like that. From Cyan Sono, or Sono, however you want to pronounce his name. Great, modern director.
No, this is that label that is under Image, like the Macabre label, but it's the Turbo label. It's like the action drama version of the Macabre label.
Yeah, and of course, Sono, he dips into all types of genres, but they're all kind of intertwined a little bit. His films are pretty interesting, man. I have heard that this one wasn't that great, which is kind of disappointing, but if you're interested, you like his films, check it out. Another one here from Kino, and that is Twice Told Tales. Of course, the classic Vincent Price film.
Why the fuck you gonna tell some tales twice? Just tell that shit right the first time.
Yeah, I know, man. What the fuck? Why you gotta repeat yourself? Why are you bringing up old shit?
Yeah.
Why are you bringing up old shit?
Fucking asshole.
One of my favorite parts of Friday. Why are you bringing up old shit?
You got knocked the fuck out.
Mine was actually a reference to Tales from the Hood when he's like, "Man, why are you gonna refry some beans? Just fry motherfuckers right the first time and eat. Get yourself some food."
And finally, after multiple delays, I think this thing was supposed to be out like 2 months ago or 3 months ago. The Walking Dead season 5 limited edition. big model fucking bus thing whatever you want to fucking call it.
have it
Finally
on pre-order,
finally
Moods?
coming out. I don't know what the hell the deal was with this.
Do you have it on pre-order?
I don't actually. I don't know why.
I hate these things. By
It's
the
like
way,
cheap. It's like $59 or something.
Man, it says $134 on Amazon.
yeah, Blu-ray
On Amazon
$134.
CA?
No, I'm on
US.
.com.
Yeah,
What the fuck is with the price? It's not that expensive here. Ooh, that's crazy.
probably
Maybe
because they're running out of copies. They're always
Yeah.
limited, aren't they?
Yeah, this one looks, man, the detail in this one looks crazy, man. It's just like a fucking gnarled up zombie kind of, crawling this way. I think it looks cool, man. But of course, there's multiple editions of this coming out. You can get like a special lenticular one or just the regular Blu-rays, and there's like 5 different editions of this, of course. But yeah, season 5, which I need to see. I've only up to season 4. Need to check out season 5. Then we got one here called LA Slasher, released by
Really
Artstone.
original.
Yeah, but the first thing that caught my eye on this, Andy Dick is in this
Oh,
film.
great. The Dickster.
Andy Dick in a fucking...
He's even worse than JP's dick.
Danny Trejo and Batista is also in it.
Wait,
Dave
Batista? How the
Wow.
fuck did they get Batista to be in an indie movie?
Well, I mean,
'Cause
he's
he's
following in the
lame.
footsteps of all the other wrestlers that have been in fucking...
Dude, The Rock is the fucking biggest movie star in the world.
No,
Yes, he is.
no way.
Want to bet?
The biggest movie star in the world?
Yes.
You're out of your fucking mind.
I'm naming a movie star bigger than The Rock.
I could probably name anybody, like De
Brad
Niro.
Pitt?
Anyone that's still
Nope,
making
okay.
films is bigger than The Rock.
Look how much money the movies that The Rock makes compared to Brad Pitt movies.
How much? You know how much Brad Pitt makes a movie?
I'm not
to be
saying
honest,
that.
to be
I'm
honest,
saying
if Brad
box
Pitt's
office.
name gets mentioned one more time on this horror podcast, I'm gonna fucking scream.
I'm telling you.
Enough with Brad Pitt's name.
What is
You
wrong
don't-
with? I like Brad Pitt. Fuck you.
The Rock makes
I don't
fucking
really care.
so much money.
I
for
just
the
don't watch a
studios,
lot
it's
of
not
Brad
even
Pitt
fun.
films, to be honest. So I mean, I've seen
Fucking
my
Fight
fair
Club rocks.
Yeah, but
Seven's
Fight Club's
great.
but Fight Club's not new. I'm talking like newer
Oh.
films.
Well, what has he done?
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
it's not horror, I don't pay attention to it really.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 Volume 34 is coming out. Fuck, man, can you imagine collecting all these things? I mean,
They're so
Expensive.
they are, man.
Especially
Like,
the ones that are out of print now.
even the ones that are just coming out now, like this DVD set's $47 on .com. I'm sure it's probably 80 or 90 on .ca. So
Scream Factory, man. Not Scream Factory, Shout Factory.
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy. Those aren't cheap, man. For DVD sets, man. Damn. Whew. Crazy stuff, man. Looking forward to the new series. And what else is coming out this? I don't know if I got everything here. I think that might be everything. Maybe a film called Zoo. Yeah, Zoo season 1. What is this? Does anybody know what this is?
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Don't know. But I was thinking maybe it was like horror related or something. But yeah, that's gonna do it for the DVD and Blu-ray releases for December 1st. Man, such a downer week, considering November was just filled, like over populated with amazing releases, man. Like November was nuts. I was expecting, December to start out with a bang, Christmas season and stuff. But next week, there's a fair amount of releases and then so on. So pretty cool stuff.
Cool.
Not very exciting this week, to be honest. Release of the
Week.
Release of the week. Yeah, I mean, this one for myself, I'd probably have to go with, not knowing really a lot of, about Goodnight Mommy. I mean, I've heard really good things. Queen of Blood, but you know what? I'm gonna have to go with the season 5 limited edition bus. It looks so gnarly. I mean, it really is cool, man. If you got to pick up some, maybe don't spend $134 on it that Amazon's asking for right now. I think that might be a misprint or something. That doesn't make any sense. It can't be $134. But yeah, I'm gonna go with that because that's just, for the collectors, pick that shit up, man. Pick that shit up.
Yeah, I would also say that one too. Even though I don't like those box sets, they do look good. That one is probably my favorite though. Like I just like the way that looks. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of like toys. The toy looking things, like they just take up too much space.
They're a good investment though.
Yeah, if you want to resell them to some
I
Australian
fucking got
dude.
$300 for season 2s.
Yeah, that's fucking yeah, man. That zombie head, dude. I seen it like there was ones on eBay going for like as high as $700.
Really? Damn, I got 300 for mine.
That's crazy. I don't know if anyone was actually buying those, but
Yeah.
you know the prices were just crazy on it, man. It's fucking nuts. But yeah, that's gonna do it for DVD and Blu-ray releases. Do we got any voicemails, JP?
Yeah, we got 2 voicemails, both from Derek. We had a third voicemail, but it was from Lawrence. Unfortunately, we're not going to play it because it seemed like he was losing service, or it was like cutting out a lot, and you couldn't really make out the first part of the voicemail, and I didn't want to really sit through it, have the listeners sit through like muffles. But the second part of the voicemail, we were able to make out a question, and it was asking like, hey, we did Italian Horror Month. Would we do another version with a different country? We haven't really discussed it, so what do you guys think?
Well, I mean, it's always a possibility for sure. I'm always
France.
down for something from France. Yeah, man. I mean,
Let's do
I
a
don't see why
Mexican
not.
one.
Of course, man. Canadian month.
No, let's do Mexico month, dude.
French, Spanish films. Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I mean, there's
Spanish
lots of really
films would be fucking awesome.
Australian cinema would be fucking awesome. I mean, there's just lots of possibilities, but like JP said, we haven't generally discussed it in
Australia would be hard.
great detail. No,
There's
not
a
at all.
million Australian films.
Yeah, but it's a rather new genre.
No, you said that the other day, and I was like, you're retarded.
I'm not
No,
retarded.
man. No, there's tons and tons of films that you can pick from, but it's just it's a different place. It's a possibility, but no, I think what do you guys think?
Me
Would you like to-
personally, I don't really want to do another full month of anything but Italian. Like, I kind of like that the Italian thing. Like, oh, like it's November is Italian month, like that we're celebrating Italian films. Doing another one, then it would be like maybe 2 months out of the year we're doing stuff. It just seems like a lot, But I'm not opposed to doing a Spanish themed show, or if I want to do the French themed show, and
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I'm not saying if you guys wanted to do it, I wouldn't do it too. I'm just saying, like, I'm not the biggest fan of doing another full month unless we replaced the Italian month next year with another country. But I'm still kind of pulling for Italian month too. Italian horror month 2016 version.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of takes away from, having a specific theme month, if you're doing another one in the year. I do agree with that. But, as for doing themed shows like Italian or, country themed shows, yeah, I'm definitely not opposed to that.
No, I'm
It's always a
100%
possibility.
down with that. Especially, like, it really helps me get more into that specific location. Like, if we did, even though I really don't, they would be like low on my list. If we did Japanese, then I would probably see 5 more Japanese films than I had seen, and that's kind of what I liked about the Italian horror month, was it just kind of made my sense of and knowledge of that area a little bit better. Which is,
I mean,
what
to be
I'm always
honest,
trying to do.
it really wouldn't. It doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I would even take a poll. I mean, just list off a bunch of countries, people vote, and we do it, because it doesn't essentially matter to me.
Yeah,
what country
yeah,
it is. I think they
sure.
would all be fun in general, whether it be Japanese or Hong Kong films or whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Hong Kong, that'd be fucking insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of really cool possibilities out there. So
Yeah, like, or just like a random ass country that I didn't even know made films.
Like African.
There are some South African films,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I don't know about like
District
other
9, the
places in
director is
Africa.
fucking South African.
hmm
That is true.
Yeah, there isn't really a lot of them though. It's actually kind of crazy.
Also, I always wonder, like, if it's done by an Italian director, but it's like an American production, does that automatically make it not an Italian film, or like we'd have to kind of discuss that as well.
Yeah. I don't really want to get into this.
A lot of
yeah.
people, a lot of
This
people
seems
went
to
Italy
yeah,
to
it
shoot.
seems to
back
confuse
then.
the shit out of people.
This is a lot of. It was really cheap to shoot in Italy back in the day, so a lot of film crews from America went over there to shoot. So I don't know if many people from Italy came over here to shoot. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not really I didn't really mean it like that. I just
Yeah,
meant
yeah,
like
yeah.
They were living in the
Well, they
US,
did. I mean,
became a US filming.
Fulci shot in New York like tons, man.
Yeah.
You know, like a lot of these films, like
But
New
they
York
were
Creeper
Italian
stuff.
productions, though.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they were totally 100% Italian productions, right? They're funded by, you know, Italians and everything,
Yeah.
but they would shoot scenes, you know, like Zombie, man, fucking New York, and, you know, it takes place. They were just, a lot of those Italian directors were obsessed with New York.
Mhm.
So, got a film there, make
It's
it authentic.
it's still happening today, like what Jeremy said, where he said that people were, you know, going to this location to shoot
yeah.
back in the day. Joe Lynch is actually a good example of somebody who recently did that. He shot Everly in Serbia because it was way cheaper.
Way cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But then you have to shoot a film in Serbia.
Not
and
even
be
that.
away
Then
from
you
your
have
family.
you have to get fucking visas for your crew and.
Well, he actually hired a lot of
Serbians.
and a lot of them who were working on this, who worked on a Serbian film.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, you know, Americans shooting.
Because how many Serbians are there making movies? So.
I don't know, dude.
Well, I'm just saying, it's like, of course, you would hire the crew who worked on Serbian film.
Yeah,
let's
'cause
be
that's
serious. How
most
many
notable.
people are in Serbia are making films? It's a legit statement. No offense to the Serbians. I'm just being.
Who knows? But yeah, no, it's just like Americans shooting in Canada. I mean, their dollars worth so much, it's just cheap. You know, good locations up here, and you get your fucking get tons of bang for your buck, man. What's that?
Nothing. I'm just messing with you.
I didn't hear what you said, but no, it's a fact though, man. I mean, there's been thousands and thousands of films shot here, and especially in Vancouver, in Toronto and stuff, because it's just cheaper to shoot.
Well, they would get a tax credit in the 80s. Like that's one of the reasons why they would do it too in the 80s. Like the Canadian government would like give them money to shoot films up there.
Yeah.
Tax break.
Yeah. I mean, fuck. You know, when you're in Vancouver, like you can't go anywhere without seeing something being filmed. There's something always being shot there. It's kind of like Vegas, man. Like always crews everywhere. So.
All right. So I hope that answered your question. That we would potentially do something like that, but maybe not a whole month worth of it. So let's continue along. First, we got one from Derek, and then we got another one from Derek. So first up from Derek.
Hello, my friends. Of course, I had to return for Mario Bava Week, since A Bay of Blood was my pick for most influential horror film for episode 50. It wouldn't be right if I didn't make an appearance. I hope you guys thought of that when watching that film, and I also hope you guys enjoyed Black Sunday and Blood and Black Lace. Better be no 5 out of 10s in there with sandy vaginas. Now my question is redirected to something Brandon asked on a previous show, I believe. Brandon, I would love to guest on the 22 Shots, and hope we can work something out so I can in the future. So my question is this. Would you guys like to talk a film or two sometime? Hope we can work something out, and I think the fellow listeners would too. I'll be back with a question in the next voicemail. P.S. Jeremy, no hard feelings, bud. Rewatch that shit. Peace out.
So.
Yes, I did watch those shit, and fuck you. Fucking my ratings.
Thank once again, Derek. I guess we'll be saying that again, but you know, it's always nice to hear.
So, guessing on the 22 Shots, how does one get involved with us?
You don't.
Well,
it
if
involves
was
a
up to
lot
Jeremy,
of jaw
you don't.
gymnastics, knee pads, and
Kyle
just,
didn't get on here by just being
handies.
a nice guy. He got on here for being an extra nice guy.
He worked. He worked his. You know, he worked it, man. He was a little confused why when he showed up there was just an abundance of jars of Cheese Whiz and things like that. He was
No. He even looked down and he saw my sandy vagina and he's like, "What is that?" But he still went to town.
Yeah.
There you go, man.
Yeah, Kyle worked hard.
Yeah, he worked hard. He licked my sandy vagina up and down.
That makes me gag.
Yeah, but
then he went dick.
It was gross watching.
Ass to mouth. Ass to mouth.
Gross watching.
So yeah, as you guys know, we've had one guest on this show so far, and he's been on here twice. His name is Kyle. I also host a podcast with him, and we haven't had anybody else on, and we don't know. Honestly, the timing worked really well with Kyle. He actually got mad that we didn't invite him on the Lucio Fulci moods. He said he was available for that when Jeremy
Really?
canceled. Yeah, I thought it would be too short notice, but
I actually didn't even think about it, to be honest. It was just really busy that week too.
Yeah.
Didn't
I
even
was
cross my fucking mind. But sorry about that, Kyle.
I was like, yeah, well, Kyle, we switched up the recording day, and we're now doing it Fridays during the day. And he's like, I'm off Fridays. And I was like,
yeah, yeah. That I mean, that's always a factor. Like how do you get on the show? Well, the main thing is if you want a guest, like
we're
I said,
not going to change our time.
That's the thing. We really can't. Like, we're kind of strapped for a time slot in our lives because, of course, we live in different time zones. That doesn't help. But it's very limited on the days that we can do it. It's either Thursday night or Friday morning, and that's it. And we prefer to do it Friday morning because, as we all know, when we do it Thursday night, Jeremy gets a little butthurt at everything, and he gets a little.
Hey,
gets a little.
Well, essentially, acts like a 4-year-old on the show.
2 out of the 3.
With a fucking dirty mouth.
2 out of the 3. All right. I thought the Argento show and the third show. No, I thought what was the show before Night of the Demons?
You weren't on that. I think it was Wes Craven. Oh no, that was Tales from the Crypt.
Yeah, I thought Tales from the Crypt and fucking Argento was really good. And we shot those at fucking 3 o'clock in the morning. I was alright.
Yeah, both of those shows were good. I think
Tales from the Night of the Demons show.
Night of the Demons was our worst show ever, maybe.
Yeah.
And I think we did good in Italian horror as well. Honestly, the thing that comes down to it, like Moodz said, is can you meet the schedule? And 2, we got to see, man. We got to see how it works out. We got to see how if there's going to be chemistry. We don't want it to be awkward. I'm sure it might be fine with Derek, but maybe we do like get Derek on like a trivia night or something, and then go from there. We're really not doing a whole
trivia
lot of
night.
guests
Apparently,
right
is
now.
audition.
It's a casting couch.
It's not. It's just a real fancy way of auditioning. You know, we're gonna ask you a bunch of questions, make you look like a fucking idiot for like 2 hours.
You gotta, and then
I'll assess the situation after the fact. I'll be like, well, he looked and sounded like a fucking idiot, but it was, it was good. It was funny.
So, I gotta be honest.
You can jump on a board. You can jump on a board. Jump on a board. What is that? Some kind of weird Canadian slang right there? What the fuck is that? Jump aboard.
Talking from the guy who says fucking phone all the time.
I only use. It's funny. I say phone because it's funny. I use all the words. I say jo most of the time. Give that bitch a jo.
That's terrible.
That's just the way I talk, and it's not terrible. JP, stop being a fucking cunt. Okay, seriously.
Ooh,
it's terrible.
Oh, he's like fucking just slammed him. He's like, oh, don't call me a cunt. That's not nice. I just really want to do an Australian show now. It's just like call everything a cunt. I don't know, man.
But the only thing about Derek, he does make me a little nervous because I feel like he's easily offended, or at least he I don't know if he can handle like Jeremy being a dick and me being a dick. I don't want to like, upset
that's
him
right.
live
podcasting. That's right.
You know what I mean?
I'm never a dick.
Yeah, pretty much.
I just called you a cunt.
Yeah, but
that's not me.
Even when you, even when you're trying to be a jerk, it's still hard to take you like a jerk.
It's like, no, because every time I say something that could potentially be like mean or offensive or something, you're like, well, he's just Canadian. That's essentially what it comes down to. It's like, he's just nice. He's just Canadian, man. He doesn't really mean that. Okay, haha, you're funny.
But no, seriously, like Kyle was somebody that I could pretty much like make fun of till ever, and I don't think he's gonna get mad. And if he does, I don't care. Fuck Kyle. But I don't want to be mean to Derek and then him get like upset at us. So Derek, just I guess we could try it. I don't know. We'll see.
Well, that was very honest of you. I never thought of that, but that's honest.
Yeah, I want to be honest.
And we all know I offend everybody, so
that's true.
Yeah, I would say something. I would say something.
I don't even know how you walk around every day. Like, don't you just offend yourself too?
Yeah, I would say something like you're a fat asshole or something. He'd get offended, and that would be the end of it. Not saying that you're fat, Derek. I'm just saying.
That's exactly what you're saying. What are you talking about?
Moodz is fat too, though. So.
Yeah, I got a big fucking.
I think all of us have put a little on a six pack since our high school days.
I have a real 6-pack. Actually, it's more like a pony keg. Drink a lot of fucking beer. What can I say, man?
I'm gonna offend everybody.
So, what do you? Is there anything else you want to touch on there?
No, like in all honesty, man, I think it is more like, as JP was trying to, he muffled it somewhere in there, but it is, man, like we don't want someone on the show that's going to be, we're not saying that you are going to be awkward or anything, but it's just having that awkward. I mean, we already have Jeremy. We don't need something else kind of, sidetracking us too, because we already have to deal with Jeremy's awkwardness and stuff. And then if we have someone else, it's like, holy fuck, it's going to be like real tedious, and I'm going to be just saying cunt a lot, and I don't even know what happens there.
Like, we do talk to Derek a lot in like chat messages and stuff, but one of the things that we did with Kyle, like I talked to Kyle on like Skype like all the time, and he did that mini shots with me. That was like his audition. Like I knew that there was like some chemistry there, and Kyle didn't do the best in the world on the first show, but I thought he did decent enough, and he's doing great on our show now, and the second time we had him back, he did good. So I do want there to be, I'm not just going to put anybody on the show who hasn't done a podcast before as their first thing doing it with us. So maybe if we
because this is prime time, bitch. Prime time,
we don't need another night of the Demon
We're being
show.
broadcasted to, at least 14 or 15 people out there. So we don't want to embarrass you and shit.
Man,
so.
14 and 15 people. We got 14 and 15 listeners. We're paying $14 to $15 for Return of the Living Dead 4 and 5. Man, everything is 14 and 15.
Exactly. But no. In all seriously, Derek. I think that there's, I think it would probably work out sometime. Just like I said, the biggest thing is the scheduling, though. That's one thing that we struggle with ourselves. Putting someone else into the mix and trying to figure that out is just, it gets complicated. I mean, it sounds easy, but it's these fucking time zones, man. I guess you're in the same time zone as
me,
JP.
Really, you can't remember his name?
No, I was.
Is he just your fucking cannoli?
Yeah, man. I was thinking of maybe he was in the same time zone as you, because you guys are like right on that time.
He's in fucking Boston. He's on the fucking coast. It's not even the same.
Shut up, Jeremy. Listen. So I do. Yeah. And Derek works nights. That's the thing, right?
Yeah,
Derek works nights as well. Right?
Yeah, I remember I did that one time, man. I'd worked a graveyard shift or whatever, and then I stayed up and then did the show. Holy fuck. By the end of the show, I was just so delirious, man. You guys remember that show?
Oh, yeah. That,
I was just fucking
you like
so
argued with me about like Pet Cemetery 2 or something, and it was awkward.
Yeah, I don't even I went back and listened to it, and I was astounded at the conversation. I was like, I don't remember saying any of that. Fucking crazy.
All right. So before we move on to Derek's second voicemail, Jeremy, do you have anything to add to that?
Nah.
You never fucking have anything to add. I don't even know why.
Thanks for the input. Hey, Jeremy, don't be awkward, okay? Like, really,
You already know my opinion. I don't want to offend people by being an asshole, so I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
You just offended me by not saying anything.
JP, you guys know my opinion on having guests on the show.
Yeah, he gets a little butthurt.
Yeah, he doesn't like having guests on the show. Even
I don't like it.
There you go. Okay,
I think it fucks up the chemistry of us three, and then, like we said, it will be awkward. And then if you don't know how to really talk that well on a microphone, or
get nervous.
Well, or even me, I don't know how to put together thoughts half the time. But
essentially, what Jeremy is saying is we don't need another Jeremy on the show. Yeah, we already have one.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm the Fred Norris of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror.
Oh, the Fred Norris. Yeah.
I just sit here and I play sound effects and I chip in every once in a while. I'm the third winger.
Chime in.
All right. So let's move on to the next voicemail, which is also Derek.
Yeah.
Hey guys, Derek again. I got two questions. One for Moodz and JP and one for Jeremy. Since he wasn't on the full G show, probably due to Sandy Vagina, but it's all good.
Two Sandy Vagina jokes.
Well, since you and JP both saw the Gates of Hell trilogy and Horsehead, and since it's pretty much a love letter to Italian cinema and the Gates of Hell, which is pretty obvious when they cast Caterina McCall in one of the roles of the film, do you guys think it's a film that will grow on people after rewatch value? And this one is for Jeremy, since he is the French expert. Jeremy, can you please tell people why the Fab Five is called the Fab Five real quick and clarify that? And why Irreversible isn't part of it? I'm just trying to explain it, but you are the French expert, so please help clarify this. Thanks,
Fuck you, Moodz. You're the Italian stallion.
Wicked awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. You guys should do a French horror month. And you should start it off with like a Gene Rowland series, because that'd be badass, because Gene Rowland is fucking amazing. Go French and Italian, of course. Peace out.
Fucking bitch at me being the French expert. You're the fucking Italian stallion, so fuck you.
Okay,
Well,
so,
Derek,
Jeremy,
thank you for phoning in again.
Why don't you? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremy, why don't you answer the question?
All right, so from my understanding, the reason why Irreversible isn't part of the Fab Five or the Fab Six, it really should be the Fab Four, but we'll get into that. But the Fab Five, why I think Irreversible isn't part of it, because it doesn't follow a home invasion subgenre. The Fab Four, well, Inside, Martyrs, High Tension, and Frontiers are all home invasion films, body horror, if you want to say that, all with strong female protagonists. And while Frontiers really doesn't have a strong female protagonist, and it doesn't really follow a home invasion subgenre of horror, there's a huge rape scene in fucking Irreversible that's totally demeaning to the main female character in the film, so I obviously think that it shouldn't be in the Fab Five whatsoever. That film, no way. Just like I Stand Alone shouldn't be in the Fab Five. I think if anything has argument of being part of that category, it would be Claire Denise's Trouble Every Day. But I think that's the fucking name of it, right? Yeah. I'm being stupid right now. I'm having a brain fart. It's the Claire Denise movie that I talked about a little bit. Yeah, I think it's Trouble Every Day. But whatever.
Brain quiff.
Yeah,
brain
whatever.
queef.
but I think that movie would be more acceptable as being part of the five films than Irreversible. And why people have an argument is them really isn't a home invasion film. It has some parts that include home invasion, but it's not in the same level as a film as Inside or Martyrs, which is pretty much straight up home invasion. So I think that's why many people have the argument that it's not part of the four films. And it wasn't really until the internet started picking up on this French extreme movement that them got added to the list as more people started to watch it. I think it's more of a community type thing of adding it to the list than actually including it as part of the Fab Five, I guess, if you want to say. So that's my answer.
Or simply it's because they all came out around the exact same time. I don't know.
High Tension.
That's every movement. It's
before.
2003. But that's with every movement that comes out during a certain time. But
yeah, I was just.
It's just my.
So the thing with the Fab Four /
But that was a good answer,
Five,
Jeremy. That was a good answer.
I think honestly the reason why Irreversible also isn't included is because it was I think it kind of had its wave like a little bit before these films. These films all kind of toured this festival circuit together. And that's why it was like the critics and the journalists who sort of dubbed them the Fab Four, because they were all like French new extremity type, whatever you want to say it is. I don't know the exact definition.
That's the name of it.
Stuff.
It's French extremity.
Okay, and they were all, sort of palling around in the festival circuit together, the films. So they started dubbing them the Fab Four. It really didn't have anything to do with home invasion per se, but it probably did kind of lump them together as well as, these films are kind of the same or whatever.
Yeah.
And then...
It is a good argument, though. It's a good thing to mention.
Yeah. But it really came from just reviews that came out. Like the websites online started calling them like the Fab Four of this year or whatever. Like they were all like kind of in the same sort of festival circuit. And then them came along afterwards, and like Jeremy said, as the internet went on, people were like, well, this one's kind of similar to them too. So they just started lumping it in, and that became the Fab Five. But it originally was the Fab Four.
Yeah, I think we came up with the Fab Five.
It could actually be possible because I haven't seen anybody else say it.
Yeah, like I said, I think Trouble Every Day is more of a Fab Four type of a film than them, but it's the fact that it came out in 2002 that I wouldn't consider it part of the list because it was pretty early. I mean, it's only a year before High Tension, but
I was gonna say but
High
Tension
didn't really come out in 2003 though, right? That's just the date on IMDb. It didn't come out until like late 2005 in the U.S. In that like festival circuit.
Yeah. I don't know. They're good films anyway, so.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
And there was a question for me and Moodz, I believe.
Oh yeah, Horsehead. Yeah, I think it's, the thing with Horsehead is that it's such a new film, and I think a lot of people just haven't gotten around to seeing it. So for the people that have, will they gain a bigger appreciation for it and stuff? Probably, because it's definitely one of those films where you don't just watch once and fully understand. You probably don't watch it twice,
not even three times, yeah,
and fucking fully understand. It's a really, really interestingly odd film, but it's so beautiful that you can't help but rewatch it. So yeah, I think that as time goes on, I think people will gain a better appreciation for it, and I think it's one of those ones that people once they see, they'll have to repeat. Those new people too, they're gonna have to fucking watch it 4 or 5 times. So yeah, not to the short and long of it, yeah, I think so. So what do you think, JP? I think it's just one of those. I think it's a perfect example of a film that just needs to be touched on more times. You need to pop it in more. So
my thing is, it's just not a film that's it's not gonna stay relevant. It hasn't stayed relevant. Like, it came out, it had a little bit of buzz, and it went away. And I think that partly due to like the way that the culture of films has changed over the years. Like, these films lasted in the video store decades for a long time. People rented them. They developed cult followings. Like, it's way harder for that to happen with a film that comes out now. I can't predict the future. I don't know if Horsehead will become one of those cult type films or whatever, but honestly, it probably might just fade into obscurity.
Well, it's partially due to the fact that there's an abundance of films that come out all the time.
Yeah, and this came out like on a low label that doesn't have a wide reach. It's just one of those films that are not going to be seen by enough people in order to make it something.
Yeah, there's just an abundance of the horror films, in our realm. I mean, fuck, dude, there's it seems like 500-600 films out there that I could potentially see this year, and I've seen over 100, and it's not even close. But it just seems like there's films kind of so often that it's so easy to forget about a film like Horsehead. I watched it in the earlier part of the year, and I've been trying to keep up and watch all these films that I need to probably see before the year-end show, for myself. So I haven't forgot about it. I am actually going to rewatch it here soon again. I have watched it twice. So I'm gonna rewatch it again too. But I mean, I think it's just hard. I think for a film to have that replay value down the road,
it's hard to stand out in 2015 and beyond. Man.
That's essentially what it is. It's really hard. You really have to stand out instantly as soon as you come out. This one had some buzz, but like you said, it was kind of forgotten. I think it's because there's so many other films that are coming out that are getting so much buzz also. And it's all the talk of horror comedies and stuff. And it just seems to be that year where everyone just wants to see all those type of films. I don't really know. I'm just speculating, right?
Yeah. But it's also let's look at it this way too. No other people than hardcores are ever going to see Horsehead. Maybe a handful of people, but I think with these Italian films, the Gates of Hell trilogy, I feel like they were in U.S. video stores and anybody could have rented them. If you even casually liked horror films, you might pick up A Bay of Blood based on the cover or something. It's just different times, man. And honestly, the inspiration in the film, I don't know, because I had watched these films afterwards and I kind of forget Horsehead a little bit because it's a clusterfuck of a nightmare.
Yes. Hard.
So I would be curious to go back and check it out after seeing these Gates of Hell films, because it makes sense now. It makes sense that they I'm starting to think oh yeah, it probably was very inspirational.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I want to check it out again. I just remember it being, so beautiful, man.
Oh yeah,
beautiful film. So
definitely the best cinematography of the year.
yeah, it's really, really well shot.
Yeah,
well lit. So yeah. But yeah, do we have a knowledge segment this week? We don't, do we?
No, we don't.
So you know what? So you know what I'm gonna do? Instead of not, we don't have a knowledge segment. So I'm just gonna talk about something that I watched this week. This is not what we watched or anything. I'm only bringing this up because Jeremy and JP have actually seen this and also talked about it, where you guys can go and listen to it on Mini Shots. This week I actually finally got in. I finally got my copy of Angst in.
Nice.
Fucking finally. And it showed up and I literally ran downstairs like a 4-year-old and fucking popped it in. I had to watch it. I've been craving to watch this for so long.
What'd you think?
And it's fucking terrible. No, I was just floored.
I told you, man, that movie is fucking a masterpiece.
This is what I love. And this is what I wanted to talk about. This is what I absolutely love about genre films. And the fact that there's still movies out there that I haven't seen before that can do this to me. I was so enthralled in this film by not only the amazing cinematography, but it's just the whole setup of this film. I just love the the voiceover, getting into the side inside the mind of the lunatic and stuff.
What would you rate it?
Wait, hold up. Get to the review first.
I'll get Hall of Fame.
But I was so enthralled right away, just simply, this guy getting out, he's done these crimes and things like that. And just instantly the voiceover, and you immediately get into the mind of this lunatic. And it's like, holy fuck, man. It's really cool. Yeah, and then you're just grabbed. You are fucking grabbed instantly by the cinematography. It's shot so well, so beautiful. Yeah. And I will say Cult Epic's transfer on this movie was just
amazing.
I couldn't believe how good this thing looked for not really having a release. So this is crazy. But anyways, the cinematography was just on a different level, and it really, really captivated me, because of the shit that he's doing and the way they filmed it. Man, you just can't get away from the emotion that it's capturing. And I have to say, the lead character in the film, he was just his acting was so good. He's very paranoid and he's excited and he's showcasing all these emotions at once. And I think, the way he's acting and cinematography mixed together was just the perfect match. They caught everything perfectly, You know what I'm saying? The scene where in the film where he initially, the people come home and then he just starts kind of freaking out and he's just all paranoid and he's all sketched out and he's falling on the ground. And he's doing all this shit. And the way it's shot is just it's so fucking brilliant. But there's so many good scenes in this film without giving too many scenes away. There's a scene where he's putting bodies into a trunk. And the way that thing was shot was just, my jaw was on the ground. It was just so fucking amazing.
But do you see how much the fucking Gaspar Noé was influenced by this movie?
Oh yeah,
it's fucking insane.
Yeah, but almost every scene in the film is just shot. But it's just getting to inside the mind of a lunatic, and just the things that he is saying in the film. There's one scene in there where he realizes that he can actually keep the bodies, and he gets so excited.
Yeah.
From it that he literally comes in his pants.
Did you listen to our review, or you probably skipped it because you didn't see it?
No. I never did because I hadn't seen it. Right,
it's a really good review. I would say so. I don't know what Jeremy thinks.
No, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because we're saying everything that you're saying. We've this is all flashbacks.
I probably think it's my best review ever.
Yeah, I literally I hadn't listened to it, but these are just the things that I noticed, and it was just oh my god, man! The cinematography. I have to say, the house that they filmed this at was just
it's amazing.
Crazy odd, eh? The house was huge, but just the underground pathway, out into the back. It's just fucking strange how it was. But the whole movie, there wasn't a second that I was watching this movie where I was just look at the time or look away. I was just right from the get go, right to the very last shot in the film, which was incredible in itself. And I just loved it, man. It was just fantastic. Really, really.
That tunnel scene, man.
Yeah, the tunnel scene.
I love we talked about the tunnel and the location so much because we thought it was just this brilliant place to set a film.
Yeah, and I thought the tunnel scene, like I said, where he's
brutal
with the dragging and just the way it was shot, it was that still cam and and he's just kind of doing all his work, and I was like, holy fuck, man, it's intense and crazy. Because there's so many emotions that are being displayed there. It's so morbid,
It's so morbid, but he's like kind of paranoid because he's going super fast. He's just like, his mind is racing too fast. He wants to get this done. But then all of a sudden this level of satisfaction clicks in on his character. And then you realize like how excited he is. And it's like, holy fuck, dude, that is really sick. It's a really sick moment in the film, and it just captures so many different emotions in a matter of like a minute or two, and you're like, so crazy. And it's just, I literally was like, what a sick fuck.
It's so funny how much you're echoing the things we said. Like, you've seen it exactly like we did, man.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm gonna go back and listen to your guys' review because, you know, but this is like, I just had to talk about this because
I'm glad you did.
I hadn't seen it. I know you guys.
My favorite film of the year. I've watched.
My rating on this film, 10 out of 10.
Me too.
Absolutely masterpiece.
Now,
and what I was getting back to was, you know, I'm so glad that there's films out there that I've never seen that are, you know.
Yeah, it's incredible that could even exist. That a film that could be that good still hadn't had a release in the U.S. I want to ask you this though: is Mini Shots canon with our ratings? Because if it is.
Yes, because you put the Phantom's Carriage, and I didn't review that on the show.
Yeah, man, it's still part of.
No, I just say I gave it a 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay,
yeah. It is.
Okay,
it's just an offset of 22 shots. It's just like you know, it's like the little baby brother.
Yeah, it's the casting couch for people like Kyle and
the casting couch. Yeah.
so
what did you guys rate it, by the way?
Jeremy, back on Mini Shots episode 4, gave it a 10 out of 10. I gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Moodz gives it a 10 out of 10 for a combined rating of 29.5.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Why did you give it 9.5? Because I know you questioned me too when I gave, you know, Gates of Hell and Beyond 9.5 too, and you're like, why not 10s? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I think I'm just really starting to realize that, like, you know, there's certain things that you can overlook, and you know what it is. I explained with the Italian, like what Italian films are and like how I rate them and stuff. So I'm curious, what's with the 9.5?
I believe in the review I said I don't know why I'm giving it a 9.5, but if I could maybe say maybe that the story was just a little chaotic. I know it's supposed to be. I'm trying to justify why I would give it a 9.5. I'm not really sure. Maybe it wasn't just good. Technically, yes. Technically, it is good enough to be a 10 out of 10. But as a narrative, is it a 10 out of 10? Yeah, probably. But if I'm going to justify why I didn't, to me, maybe the narrative just wasn't good enough to give it a 10 out of 10 at the time.
I think
I could totally see myself giving this a 10, and I believe I even said that in the review. I don't know. I gave it a 9.5. I'm cool with that rating for now. If I rewatch it, I'll change my rating if I think it's a 10.
Yeah, it's just a sheerly
it's an awesome movie.
Brilliant film, man. Like,
you know what's hilarious about you bringing this up, though?
Yeah.
In me and Kyle's latest X-Files podcast, he brought it up and was like, I finally watched Angst, and went into like a similar thing that you just did. So I've now talked about this film like twice this week by 2 different people at like a random chance.
Jesus, that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard not to say those things. I mean, they're just true.
Oh yeah,
it's simple. It's just true, and like, man, I just couldn't believe how fucking intense that movie was, and just it was good, man. It was really good. So
yeah, definitely Moodz. Check out our review, and listeners. I mean, a lot of people actually did. That was a really downloaded episode of Mini Shots, the most downloaded.
Yeah.
But if you haven't heard our review, I honestly think it's a great review, and we get really in depth and cover the whole film.
Wow, I did something good.
Yeah, it's too bad that I hadn't, seen the film or had a chance to.
Yeah, that would have been a great one for the show, by the way.
Yeah, that's my short
and
little
2 Hall of Famers in a row.
Yeah, that's short little review for Angst. I had to bring it up, man. I just had no choice.
Hall of Fame's getting bigger than the Hall of Pain. I think it actually already is bigger, but it's getting.
I think there's more Hall of Famers than Hall of Painters.
Yeah, especially if we do the Hellraiser franchise, like one of the listeners
but we may be
surprised
though.
Q.
Because we thought about that with Children of the Corn, and only 2 made it in.
Still, 2 is a lot. 2 is a lot, man.
Out of 8 films, 9 films.
Yeah, you should. It should like. Oh Jesus, I can't even talk. All right.
Yeah, alrighty. So getting into the morbid fact, courtesy of Rue Morgue, the coroner's report of weird stats and morbid facts. This one is coming from issue 150, the November 2014 issue, with the one with the Babadook on the cover. Go figure. They just brought up the Babadook.
Yeah.
That's strange. Yeah. So this one right here, I picked it because it was the first one in the list, and it was relevant to JP. He'll appreciate this if you've seen it. So the X-Files episode, Home, was the first TV episode ever to be given the TVMA mature audiences rating in the US. Like, I was like, what?
Yep.
They had never had a TVMA fucking rating before that episode?
Yeah, I remember Kyle said this to me, and that is Kyle's favorite episode, and he's brought it up like countless times. It's in season 4, I believe, so we're quite a ways off from that, but I'm very curious to check it out.
Okay, well, see, there you go.
Well,
See,
I guess we'll figure out in 4 years from now.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of time before that. So I had no idea. Like, I don't remember. I used to watch X-Files sporadically, so I don't know if I've seen the episode or not. I don't even know. So
I think it has to do with like ancestral cannibals.
Sure. I honestly don't remember what I've even seen from the X-Files. So
yeah,
but yeah, that is gonna conclude Moodz Swingz. Alrighty, so getting into the featured reviews of this episode 64, and like I said off the top of the show, we are going to be talking about Mario Bava's The Master of Italian Horror, and first up
Spotlight.
here, Director Spotlight, yeah, is the 1960 film, also known as The Mask of Satan, which is retitled Black Sunday. From 1960. Oddly enough, earlier today I was actually watching, just an interview with Barbara Steele, and I was kind of going through the features, and I was like, oh yeah, I Vampiri's on here, and I Vampiri was a film that Mario Bava had taken over directing in 1956, and he ended up taking over. He was actually cinematographer, but he ended up taking over the the actual directing of the film because Buddy left the production or whatever. And I Vampiri is actually the very first sound Italian horror film ever directed, or ever to come out.
Really, in 1958?
1956. Isn't that crazy?
Fuck, sound came out in 1924? Around 24?
Man. Yeah, I mean, it became a popular thing to do
1940.
sound films in about 1929, 1930.
Yeah.
I think it's when you really started mass generating sound films. But 1956, actually, so Mario Bava's I Vampire, which is a special feature on the Arrow Blu-ray, and it's got the whole film. And it's cool when you click onto it. It actually comes up with its own menu and, play it. And the print is just beautiful. Like, it looks fantastic on there. So I thought that was really cool, but just thought I'd mention that about Mario Bava. Of course, we all know Mario Bava, Lamberto Bava's dad, is always considered to be the maestro, the guy that invented the Giallo film, really, Oh, yeah. So, Mario
he's
Bava,
the one that gets credit for it.
Yeah, he's known as, The Girl Who Knew Too Much was the very first Italian Giallo film ever, put out and stuff, which came out in 1961 or something just after this film, rather. But Black Sunday from 1960. The premise of Black Sunday, I'll read off this one. Just a quick little storyline. A vengeful witch and her fiendish servant returned from the grave and began a bloody campaign to possess the body of the witch's beautiful look-alike descendant. Only the girl's brother and a handsome doctor stand in her way. So
this film has awesome fucking atmosphere, man.
Mm-hmm. This movie right here, I've always said that it has probably the thickest and most deranged and outrageous atmosphere in any film ever created. It's just fucking unbelievably atmospheric.
Yeah, like I couldn't tell if it was day or night or like twilight. Like, it was weird. Yeah. Like, I love films like that. It reminded me a little bit of Universal, like, classic monster movies as well.
And between this one, like, between all three of them, Bava likes to use the shot of somebody like running through the forest, and the camera's, it's like a tracking shot from right to left when somebody's like, we see this in Black and Blood Lace. I said it wrong again. In fucking A Bay of Blood, we see that similar shot. It's a really
you'll actually see that in a few Bava films.
Yeah,
to be honest. But this movie right here, man, the opening scene in this film is so crazy. I mean, you have to remember too. This movie came out.
The opening scene so much.
this movie is 1960, and you know, Italian horror films, you know, it's new, you know, doing sound films. You know, these are being mass produced or widely released and stuff. And imagine seeing this opening scene.
Well, you know,
back in those days, it must have been really crazy.
Because I knew we'd obviously talk about the opening scene, but when I was watching it, I was like, you know what, dude? Everybody talks about how like the 70s really was when, you know, post-Psycho was when, you know, gore and like brutal stuff was happening. And I'm like,
No way.
dude, the Italians were doing it way before.
That's a thing, right? Like, I mean, opening scene is crazy, man. It's so vicious and brutal, man. Like what we're seeing here is Barbara Steele's character, Aja. She is basically being denounced and, you know, burned at the stake because she's, you know, being called a witch, and she's, you know, essentially a witch. And, you know, it's more of a period piece. It happens like 200 years prior, right? And what we get to see is her up on a stake, and, you know, they essentially burn her. But what they do first is they put the mask of Satan on her face.
Fucking brutal.
Well, first they brand her, which is
at first they brand her, and then they don't just put this mask of Satan on her face and then burn her. This mask is actually filled with nails, and her brother is the one that actually pounds it into her face. And it's just fucking vicious, man. Like he's this big burly guy, and he just takes his mallet and just fucking wings it into her face, and it's just so violent. It's very, very violent. You know, they didn't just burn her. You know, they had to do all this other stuff. Brand her, you know, spike a mask into her face and then burn her. It's fucking crazy.
And there's actually like blood coming out of her face. Yeah, that's unusual for that time period.
It's just, I find the opening scene to be so amazing. It's so dark and atmospheric, and it's intense and just visceral, and like, it's just amazing. I there's something about that opening scene that just makes the hair on my neck stand up.
Yeah,
it's just,
and
it's executed perfectly.
Even the way that it's all like the setup of the scene with the guys, the big bulky guys. Why are those guys always super fucking muscular, by the way? The guys with the hoods on and stuff.
Why not?
They probably have to be, because those mallets that they're using are fucking huge and heavy.
Yeah.
But those are real fucking mallets too.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
yeah, and even like later on in the film where the witch comes back and her eyeballs are filling back up, like those are fucking gnarly effects.
And that was the thing.
1960, it's fucking great.
You know, Mario Bava was always known for, you know, putting a lot of effort into effects and making things, you know, very real and stuff. And, you know, he was one of those guys that liked to, he focused on, you know, like, I mean, it sounds weird, but like he would take a story and he would, you know, create his film around it. And he wouldn't just do things for the sake of doing things. You know, it all had a meaning to it, you know? Yeah. And things like that. And that's one thing I like about Mario Bava. You know, he takes a story and he just creates the most crazy shit, man. Like, you have to, like I said, 1960, man, this movie is dealing with so many different type of themes.
Oh yeah.
You know, it's got like, you know, resurrection in it, you know, witchcraft, you know, satanic things are going on, vampirism, which is so crazy, right?
Yeah.
You know, and he's got torture scenes in this. He's got, you know, she puts on a curse, you know, as she's being burned at the stake, she says that she's going to come back. She's putting a curse on her family, you know, for the descendants down the road. She's like, I'm going to come back and I'm going to come and get you guys, you know, in you know, whenever it is, I'm going to come back and, you know, kill you guys off to gain the power, and I'm gonna fucking rule and shit. I just love that. Like, it's dealing with so many different types of things. It's not just a very simple story. Mm-hmm. That's what I like about Bava. Like, there's actually a lot going on in this film. It's pretty crazy. So,
but all his films are like that, though.
Yeah.
Like fucking when we get to Bay of Blood, like I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, we'll get to Bay of Blood story. Yeah, and which is actually, you know, purposely done like that too, right?
Yeah.
So, which is really interesting. But, you know, like, what are your guys' thoughts on this film? Like, it's another one of those films where, you know, like I've said before, and it's something about Italian cinema. It's just the aesthetics of the films themselves are enough for me just to, I can't look away, man. They're so, Bava loved art, and you can tell in his shots in the films too. Like, he, you know, every scene is purposely, you know, executed the way it comes out. You know, he frames things purposely and he shoots things a certain way. Of course, this film is not in color, which we'll see a lot more. We'll talk about that when we get the Blood and Black Lace with him framing and doing colors and stuff.
That film's fucking beautiful.
But this movie is really crazy, like the way he frames stuff. And he, like I said, he was a very big fan of art, and he loved to stare at art. Like, I watched this review with Lamberto Bava, his son, and he would stare at art and just kind of picture how his art was going to be on the screen, and he would frame things purposely. And Lamberto Bava said, he goes, it's pretty interesting that, when you're even watching Black Sunday, which is of course in black and white, it almost seems like you're watching a color film because there's so many different shades of black and white that things seem to stick out so well. And that's what separated Mario Bava from a lot of filmmakers, because nobody did things like that. No one took the time. He put all that extra effort that you may not just see on your first watch or whatever. There's things that you just eventually catch on to that are just so amazing, so.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything you just said.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what else to say.
I think that one of the things that you mentioned about like different shades of black and white, everything does seem very calculated. And honestly, one of the main things I was impressed with while watching it was I was like, this is some damn good cinematography and camera work for 1960. Like 1960, dude.
Touching on that though, Mario Bava was a DP on films for like 10 years prior.
I was going to ask that.
See,
this is his first.
That's like probably one of the biggest important, like that's one of the best tools that you can probably have.
The hardest job in the world.
Yeah, and this is his first full-length film. Like I said, he'd taken over Ivan Puri, but he'd been doing cinematography for a long time. And like I said, he was a huge art fan, and he literally used to stare at art and just kind of picture things, and it really does show, doesn't it? Like the camera work and the cinematography in general is just, it's outstanding.
Yeah, but
you
I don't
can't
think
look away when you're watching these Bava films. It's fucking crazy.
I don't think this film has nothing on the next one. I think the next movie is...
Yeah, but we'll get to the next one.
I know, but
you keep doing it. You keep doing it. That's like the fourth time you brought up.
It's kind of hard when we said Bava films.
The thing is, though, they're completely different types of films. Like this movie right here is a very dark, gothic type film.
Definitely gothic.
And that's the thing, and it deals with so many different types of themes and subject matters and stuff. So it's a completely different film, and which the cinematography and stuff does kind of carry over, with certain things, but. Yeah, there's one thing I love about this film. It's not just like a very simple kind of story. Like there's, things that are going on. I mean,
okay, let me just say something that I've found throughout this Italian month. I don't know if it's just an Italian thing or what, but like I have a real hard time like differentiating characters in these films and like learning who's who and what they're doing. And I don't know if it's just the way they're done or if I'm an idiot. But like I have a hard time following some of these sometimes, dude. And I feel like so stupid afterwards, and I'm like, shit, did I even watch that movie?
That's why this is exactly why I said this month might be a little hard for first time watches. I mean, don't feel bad at all if you're not understanding things. It's perfectly understandable. I didn't understand some of these movies the first time I watched them in entirely either. And this is another example where you could easily get confused because Barbara Steele plays two different characters in the movie. She plays Aja, the witch that gets burned, and she plays her descendant, her lookalike descendant from 200 years later.
Yeah, they just don't do it like. There's not a lot of exposition to explain
her
things.
Easy to tell. Her character is easy to tell apart though, because as she's kind of making her way, as she's being resurrected and stuff, she's fucking like nasty looking.
But how Americans will like have a scene to point out this stuff? Like I feel like there's none of that in all of these films that we watch.
But you heard me.
And it's something that I actually prefer.
About... Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was saying you don't be embarrassed to say you don't understand something. Remember last week with the church? I had no idea what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, and
and I said The Church is a great example of a film that like I said, I even admitted too. The first time I watched it, I didn't come up with the whole.
And once again, when we get on, I didn't fucking understand half the shit in all three of these movies, and I still don't understand that. Especially Bay of Blood.
Bava films are great examples of things that do take a few watches to fully appreciate.
Yeah.
There's nothing simple about the film, and you know what? In my opinion, it's a really, really good thing. Like I've watched Black Sunday so many times, and I've said it many, many times. This is my favorite Mario Bava film. And it's also due to the fact that this is the very first Mario Bava film I ever seen. So I've seen this one a little bit more, and I've always had this kind of connection to Black Sunday, and the second the movie starts playing, I'm just enthralled in it. I just can't believe this movie came out in 1960. It just seems so far ahead of its time. But I do understand where you're coming from because, even multiple watches, I think every time I watch the film, I pick out something else too. So don't feel bad if you're not understanding, the characters and being told specifically who these characters are and stuff. It's just, they're the type of films that you have to like, I guess just pay 110% to everything that's going on and literally take notes, like literally.
See, and you know what? I if we do this again next year, I will absolutely on all the films have a notepad, because I feel like when I took notes on Argento and when I took notes on Cemetery Man, I was able to really get into them. These ones, after they're over and the next day I'm thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to say about this, because it's just like I start forgetting things and I'm like, how did that happen? And it's like very frustrating, and that's sort of what I meant by disappointed or embarrassed. It's more just like for the show, like I don't know what the fuck how I'm gonna explain my thoughts on this.
I mean,
just do what I do.
Sometimes the films, I mean, we can talk about, the styles and the aesthetics of the film and, the narratives and things like that. I mean, we can only say so much. And, I don't want to give specific scenes right away and stuff. But one thing I do is Jeremy did touch on the effects a little bit. And I think they're creepy as shit in this film, man.
Yeah, they're fucking
I think they're
good.
awesome.
Like when I was watching it and their fucking eyeballs are filling up, I was like,
yeah, dude.
You have to just think about it. This is 1960. Like this is like right after the sci-fi boom of the 50s. And it's still going on a little bit into the 60s. But this is the time where fucking giant puppets and strings are flying through space and shit like that. And like fucking laser beams and stupid shit like that. So to have something like this gruesome, but once again, I think it's because we're Americanized American films. That's what we typically watch. That maybe this was normal. I always remember fucking seeing titties in fucking Italian films from 1920 in school. It's all about just the place where these films are from. I don't know if films from before this had effects like that. Moodz would be the better person to answer that, but I think it's just where the country of the film was made and what they're considered acceptable.
Yeah, just different type of filmmaking, right? I mean, JP, you touched on something that's totally true, though. It's just a different way of telling things. They just don't maybe feel the need to.
It's cultural, probably.
Yeah, exactly. Just to specifically point out, okay, this is Johnny, this is Andrea, and this is Uncle Carl. I think it's just a matter of like, okay, you should know. I'm showing you them. You should just fucking know. Maybe that's just.
But when you're you're accustomed to that style, it's a little bit jarring when you go to a different style as well.
Exactly, and and like I said, multiple watches, you'll kind of get into at least this is how it is. So going into these films later on, you're like, okay, I'm gonna start looking for this and stuff. And I watch. Italian films are my favorite to watch because like I'm just a big fan of the aesthetics in general. I've mentioned this many times, and but I just, like I said, there was things about these films that it was driving me crazy at first too, and then once you watch a lot of them, it just becomes natural. Yeah. It's just like anything, right? Just like anything, it's just something you got to become accustomed to. It's like watching subtitle films in general. Some people they stay away from them because they feel like they can't watch subtitle films because all they're doing is trying to read the words and they're missing everything that's going on the screen. And Jeremy was probably taught in film school, there is a certain way of watching subtitle films, right?
You just pay fucking attention.
Well, yeah, essentially you pay attention, but there's a way of scanning the words. Like you read the whole thing.
You have to have peripheral vision as well. Some people just don't.
Well, these subtitles are moving fucking fast. Even for me, I was trying to keep up.
I don't really notice. Yeah, didn't really notice a lot, but I do want to get into one scene in this film. It's my favorite scene in the film, and it's where Aja, she's kind of getting half resurrected now. She's gaining more. She's getting stronger, because like her goal here is the more of the descendants that she kills off, she gains the power, and essentially if she kills her descendant, her lookalike descendant in the present time, she'll gain full resurrection, and stuff like that. But there's a scene in the film where she's laying in her I guess on top of her coffin, I guess that's what it is, like in the cathedral or whatever. And she's talking to the doctor, and the doctor's basically kind of hypnotized, but he's like under a spell. He's been kind of transformed into like this weird type of vampire. Like I said, there's like so many different weird things that are happening in the film. And she looks at him and she says, you will be dead to man, but you will be alive in death. She says that to him, right? Because, she wants him to, kiss her so she can gain more. And the way she says that, man, I'm like, that is the best fucking quote ever. I love that shit right there. It's just creepy as shit, man. It's so good, man. It's just things like that. And one thing I love about Bava films is his settings that he uses, he always finds the most amazing castles and shit to shoot in. Like I love this.
Yeah, dude, I love that shit.
Secret doors, man. His secret doors, and they always lead into the most amazing like underground layers.
Yeah,
Just
especially
awesome, man.
all of them have like secret fucking layers.
Yeah, dude. I get so.
Even if it's not in a castle, though, even if it's like in a house, there's like some door, some bookcase that leads to some fucking imaginary room. That
Could you imagine like living in that castle, like that area where the secret door was? It was behind where the fireplace was. It's like a huge walk-in fireplace. You know, like he's walking behind the fire and then going down below, and I'm like, this is fucking crazy. And then he's like down there. It's like so crazy how it is, man.
I think that like I love the opening. I guess it's not the opening scene. It's like the next scene where they discover her, body with the mask on, and how there's like that glass and the cross. Like I just love that whole scene. And that one dude's all freaked out trying to put the wagon wheel back on.
Yeah, just like, oh, you would think like, oh, she's frozen because of the cross, but then they fucking break the cross and they're like, oh, whatever. They just fucking say, I'm like, you fucking.
Hey, I'm telling you the mythology. It doesn't mean I believe in it.
Yeah, exactly. I think this movie actually has one of the creepiest cemeteries I've ever seen in a film too. It's so like out there and so raggedly like old looking and stuff that at first look you don't even realize that it's actually a cemetery, because like there's tombstones and there's trees, and it's just the way it's set up. It's just so cool looking, man. It's like fucking awesome. It's like the best, cemetery I've ever seen in a film. It's just awesome. But for me anyways, but another thing I love about this film, man, is I find that there are scenes in the film where there's it gets a little quiet, and then you have the ambient wind and like the ambient sounds that they put into this work charmingly. They're just amazingly present. They're not overpowering. It just adds into the atmosphere, and it's just with the visual and that amazing atmosphere that's created, but the sound is awesome too. That's another thing that I noticed in this film. He really does work on having a really good sound design to the films and stuff. So
and
sound design,
that's
creepy.
Something that's a little lost in today's film is like the ambient noises and sound design in general. They don't take the time anymore, man. On an indie level anyway.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to shoot outside and you're going to have these really atmospheric scenes and cemeteries and stuff, why not have that little bit of fucking wind blowing and stuff? And it's creepy, man. You see a lot of it in older films because this is what they did. But yeah, I think it's been kind of lost as, filmmaking goes on. They just things are concentrated a little more on like showing tits and, special effects and stuff. But you don't need sometimes, it doesn't have to be the goriest film in the world to really fucking work, like the opening scene in this film isn't necessarily gory. It's just effective.
But you have some
brutal,
blood, though, which is like,
it's just brutal. Like, I mean, in 1960, how often did you ever see a woman getting, placed up on a cross and like tortured and burned and branded and fucking smashed up and killed? Yeah.
Plus I'm always just a big fan of that story, the witch and the accused and the put to death and at the stake. Like I love those I wish there was more films like that, honestly, that talked about that. But good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's really, and like I said before, this one is just always baffled me on how he could throw so many different types of almost subgenres of horror films into one and make it work so effectively. He doesn't really concentrate so much on like the whole vampirism thing and the whole witch. Like he doesn't, spend so much time with all these specific things. It's just all kind of there, which is really interesting because it just works. There's like scenes where, there's biting on the neck and shit, and you're just like, fuck, so crazy. Like, you think you're watching this resurrection witchcraft, and then you got this vampirism happening and curses and fucking, it's really cool, man. Really cool. Possessing, and love it. I don't know, man. I just get really giddy when I talk about this. I love this movie. I love this movie so much, man. It's so great. I was kind of hoping that you guys would sound a little more enthused about it, to be honest. But like I said, it's first time watches for both of you guys.
I have to watch it again. I really do. Like I was thinking back, and I was like, 12 out of these, or 10 out of these 12 films, like I will rewatch, and I bet you I see them in a different way. Maybe not Argento's Bird in the Crystal Plumage, but I'll rewatch that one just for the fun of it. The only two that I probably won't rewatch anytime soon is the other two Argento films, but the Gates of Hell trilogy and the Suave films and these Bava films, like I want to own them all and revisit them, and preferably in HD, especially Cemetery Man. Come on.
Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
God, I'd love to get one of those import Blu-rays of Cemetery Man, man. It's fucked up that we don't actually, like, no one's been working on putting that out.
I hear there's rights issues.
Yeah, there probably is, man. But
what else is new, right?
Yeah,
exactly. All right, so ratings. We'll start with Jeremy on this one. What do you give this one?
It's a really, like we said, really, it's an interesting film, and it's an interesting narrative with some really, really awesome atmosphere. That's the first thing I said. I actually said the first word this review, so fuck you guys. But there's definitely some really interesting atmosphere and really interesting effects. So 8.5 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. Me personally, I agree with what Jeremy said. I loved the opening, scene. I loved the just camera shots. I seriously loved the way the black and white looked, and I actually streamed this movie. And it still looked great. I don't know if it was the I think it had to be like HD, I guess, like an HD stream. But, oh man, I was so blown away with the way that it looked. The only issues that I have was I was getting a little confused, and I don't feel like I got the whole gist of everything. I'm going to come in at about an 8 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah, that completely makes sense, though. I mean, it is, it's just not one of those films that's like, straightforward. It's definitely easy to kind of get a little mixed up in the characters and things that are going on. And, that does make sense. But, like I said, multiple watches, you'll pick up on things and you'll probably understand things a lot more.
Yeah.
I've stated many, many times, I think I actually shocked people too. And when I did my top 10 Mario Bava films, and this was, ranked as number 1, a lot of it has to do with, the fact that it was the very first Bava film I've seen, like I said. But, I don't solely put it on that, though, too. I personally love this film. I think it's just amazing. I don't really think there's a lot wrong with this film at all. It's just a really amazing first entry into, for Bava, this is his first full-length film that he directed, and just to do what he did is just, it's truly amazing. Considering Italian horror films were, they were in their infancy. They just didn't really exist at this time, right? So this is pretty kind of unique in its way, in itself, for that. 1960, man, what a crazy year for films when you really think about it. There's a lot of good horror films that came out in 1960. Pretty wild stuff. But this one right here, it's a perfect film for me. 10 out of 10.
Oh, 2 10 out of 10s.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, Moodz is on a 10 out of 10 kick, and I believe he said that he probably would be very high when we in the pre-discussions of doing the Italian horror month. He's like,
well, like I said this has been a very interesting week for me, watching Angst, and then these, you just watching this type of quality films in one week is like, it's kind of cool, man.
I watched
really cool.
Your Vice is a Locked Room and I Have the Key or whatever.
Nice.
Which was also like in the 9 range.
Cool. All right, so moving on into 1964, and I do believe, I'm pretty sure that this is Mario Bava's first color film that he directed. This is 4 years after his debut, and he'd done, I don't know, this is probably like his 7th film. It's crazy. Like, he did a couple I think he did Hercules in between here. Like, there's some other weird ones in here and stuff. So, and of course, The Girl Who Knew Too Much. 1964 is Blood and Black Lace. Now, the first thing I have to say, man, for the people out there that are Bava fans and are looking to get a print of this, man, I can't stress enough, you have to go out and get the Arrow edition of it. Not only is the print one of the most stunning prints I've seen, for a film like this, they just did it all the justice it needs, but the features on this alone are just amazing. Before we get into Blood and Black Lace, I watched one of the features on it called Yellow, or it's the short film Yellow. I'm sure you guys have heard of this. It had a little bit of buzz a couple of years ago, and it's like a modern giallo film. It's about 30 minutes long, or 26 minutes long, and just the short and long. It's set in the 80s and stuff, and it's just basically about this guy that's following this killer. It's very simple, but man, dude, this short looks like $1 million. $1 million short. It's crazy, the cinematography, like these huge overhead shots above buildings, and like just beautifully done. And there was times in it where it kind of reminded me like, you know, of Drive, like just that type of aesthetics and, you know, design to the short and stuff, and really, really well done, and some pretty good gore and just awesome stuff. But, you know, it's worth it for that too. So if you're not just interested in getting Blood and Black Lace, you know, the features are fucking awesome on it. So get that girl Blu-ray.
Was the Black Sabbath film in color?
Black Sabbath?
Yeah. No. Okay. So yeah, that's probably his first color one then. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, because I want to think, like, I know the movie Hercules. I've never actually seen. I don't think I've actually ever seen the movie before, but I'm positive it's in. But then again, this could be his first color horror. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure.
What a fucking beautiful movie, man.
But anyways, for his first color horror film that we do know, yeah, just outstanding, right?
What?
Fucking gorgeous.
Let's give away the plot first.
In 1964. Okay, basically, I don't know if I want to give that one right there. Maybe we'll just do this one right here. Okay, well, this Italian thriller about a shadowy killer in black murdering fashion models through brutal methods.
So you went with the small one.
Or we can do Isabella, a young model, is murdered by a mysterious masked figure at a boarding house run by Max Morlichetti and his lover, Countess Christina Como. When Isabella's boyfriend is suspected of killing, her diary, which apparently has some incriminating evidence linking her to the killer, disappears. The masked killer begins killing off the models in and around the house to find the diary. Yeah, it's a little more accurate, you know.
Yeah, man. So first of all, like Jeremy said 8 times, it's beautiful. I agree. And Moodz mentioned that this was potentially Mario Bava's first color film. And I was like, well, he really was excited about that. Yeah. Because, I mean, this guy, I just look at him like salivating, like, oh man, I can't wait to make a color film one day. I'm going to do this and this. I'm going to, you know, really show the colors. And he fucking did, man. He really did. I love the colors in this film.
The opening sequence.
The pinks, the greens.
Oh. The opening sequence with all those fucking mannequins with the red filter on them. Mm-hmm. Holy shit. It looks fucking amazing. Red is everywhere in this movie, and I still don't understand what it represents, but you think fucking Suspiria is fucking colorful. God damn.
I think red in the film is simply it's representing just the dead or death. It's death for women in this because there is, you know, if you watch this film closely, there's red in every single scene in the film that have women in the shots, whether it be their lipstick or there's something in the background. And there is a bunch of scenes in this film where you'll see like the detectives talking, you know, in the daylight, and it's just the men on screen and there's no red whatsoever. It's really kind of strange. Like I was looking for it, and it's, you know, I'm assuming it was done intentionally. You know, because, you know, the red is obviously symbolizing, you know, death for the women. It's not good for the women. You know, they're the ones that are, you know, under the spotlight here. So, but yeah, like the red, man, all the colors in this film, some of the outside shots in this film are just amazing.
I love them. Like when she takes the car to that house. Dude.
The left-hand part of the screen has got that blue tinge color to it, and then on the right, it's got the flashing green, and it's like,
I love the flashing. Like the flashing gives you such this cool atmosphere, like almost like a noir typey. Like just, I love the streets, like the slick streets. I love how
the continuity of the flashing plays out through the whole fucking scene.
I love that too. Yeah, because they're downstairs in the basement, and you like. Dude, that really just sets like the greatest tone and atmosphere ever when you. Like, it reminds you of things. It reminds you that where you are, and it just there's something about it's like it's really next level type shit, man. I mean, to continue that, and I was thinking that when I was watching it, where I was like, this is just something else, man. I know people say like this is good. This is more than good. It's just more than good. There's so much more to it.
You know, going back to, you know, Mario Bava and his framing, that's a perfect shot right there of his perfect framing. You know how the colors don't even they're like perfectly separated. It's just like, holy shit, man! Like,
but he has fucking brilliant fucking camera movements too.
Oh, dude,
it's fucking awesome. Like there's the one shot where it's fucking, I forgot whose character, but the camera's next to her, and then it fucking tracks around her through the back of her head, and then back around to the other side of her face. It's fucking awesome shot.
Yeah, dude, that's so amazing. There's actually a scene in this film, I don't know if you guys noticed, but it's a shot of the empty studio, and you can see like there's one of the white mannequins, one of the white straw ones or whatever. It's in the front of the shot, and you see like a red mannequin in the background, and like I said, the shot is empty. There's no people in it, and the camera is panning forward, and it actually hits the mannequin. It actually hits it. It's so crazy. Like, it's so fucked up how that happens, man. Yeah. And apparently it's done purposely. And it's just so wild that they did that, man. It's really cool. But
I love even like early on, the scene where they find the diary, and it's almost like Hitchcocky. They take the diary, they put it in the purse, the audience sees it on the table, and then it's just shots of like all these people that are aware of it, and you're wondering like who's gonna get it, and like it's just so smooth, man. And it's like it's stuff that subconsciously like makes the viewer feel a sense of suspense and tension. It's good stuff, man. That's like next level. That's what I'm talking about, where I'm saying like that's what sets like good filmmakers apart from great filmmakers, is the little stuff like that, dude. The way that they can like mold these scenes into just, here's a camera, I'm gonna point it at what's happening. No, I'm gonna make you feel something while it's happening.
That's a good analogy, but between him and Hitchcock, because under the bomb, bomb under the table, you don't know when it's gonna go off. The characters don't know it's there, but the audience does. That's that type of.
Yeah.
Every filmmaker wants to try and achieve that sort of level of suspense. That's a good analogy. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, man. This film is like the quintessential, like prototype for giallo films. I mean, of course, this one came after Girl Knew Too Much, but this one right here, it's just it's everything about this film is just what giallo stand for. I mean, it's so sexually, there's so much sexual, references and just things that are going on in the film constantly, right?
Yeah.
And that's what giallos are. It's it's about sex and violence, and this one showcases it perfectly. Like the scene where, I believe, I don't know, I think it's Isabel when she gets strangled. Anyway, she ends up on the ground, and the armor of the fighter armor, whatever's like on top of her, and it's just it's kind of Bava just kind of like poking at you, going, like it's laying right on top of her, like in a sexual position and stuff like that. I thought that's a really clever scene, man. Really clever. It just kind of adds to it. But obviously these movies are it's sex and violence, man, and it showcases in every fucking scene in this film. It's just so thick, man.
And one of the things, like when that armor falls, is like loud as shit too, by the way.
Well, that's another thing that's really good about this film. I talked about the sound design in Black Sunday. Well, the sound in this film is awesome too, man.
Oh
it's a really, really good sound design in it too. It's kind of creepy at times, and
what else has good design? The killer. I like the way.
Yeah, I like his mask.
Like it's just like pantyhose type shit or something.
Pretty
it
much,
worked really well with the trench coat and the hat and the just the sneakiness. I liked it. I was down with it right away. I was like, all right, I'm digging it.
Yeah, man, like the Phantom Killer.
Yeah, yeah, because it almost gives a sense of like, well, one, faceless, right? That's the kind of the point. It's how you hide. But also it's almost like ghostly in a sense, where it's like it's because it's like this brighter white type color. It's not white, but it's like in that echelon of colors. It kind of just gives this like you said, phantom.
Well, it kind of gives you that impression too, that you might not know if this is a male or a female either.
That's what I was gonna say. You can't see the facial I don't know, structure
features.
Yeah, features, I guess, that well.
So I think it
you know what? Fuck you, JP.
It's a good contract. It's a good thing to note though.
Face.
It's a good thing to note though, because
fuck yourself.
When you're watching the film, I mean, when you're watching the film unravel, and and you're trying to figure out who the killer is, also,
fucking asshole.
It could go either. It could be a male, and it could be a female, right? Because just the way the story is. I mean, there's you have the madame that's running the studio. And who knows? Maybe she's in on it. Maybe she isn't. Maybe this guy is. Maybe he isn't. Right? I kind of like that, man. I really like that.
For sure. There's definitely a lot of like
they don't give
mystery.
They don't give you anything.
Yeah. Once again, I have no idea what the fuck was going on.
Really? Like this one was the easiest one for me. I was like,
Really?
okay, I know exactly.
I still think it was like hard to like dictate who the characters were.
It is, and that's something that you're right about that.
This one's pretty easy, man. I don't know. I think this one's pretty.
Don't get me wrong. I understand more than the fucking church, but yes, there's stuff going on here. Right?
That's the one thing I will agree on, Jeremy. Even though like I felt like I got this one way easier than the other two films, and most of the films in this month, the character thing is very prevalent throughout all of the films. Like I feel like the characters themselves, like the way they look, is it's hard to tell them apart. Like when there's a lot of them, I don't know if they have enough like just certain things about them that are instantly recognizable to tell them apart or what. But I did, it wasn't as hard as like the other films, but definitely it's still...
I don't really think this one's overly that hard. I mean, you just got to pay attention. I mean, essentially.
Yeah, but you can pay attention as much as you want. These people look similar. They're all like dancers and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that is
maybe
true.
not so much the
you've
females.
Probably seen it a couple of times.
I think I just have more issues with the guys and not so much the chicks.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the guys.
Guys, dude, they cast a lot of the same looking people, like the same looking style males.
But I think there's a purpose to that.
Probably.
Yeah, probably.
I mean,
yeah.
I mean, Cameron Mitchell's like the main character in this film, which is really cool. I mean, you recognize Cameron Mitchell. I mean,
he's the
been
cop.
A lot of...
You know the cop. That's not hard.
Cameron Mitchell is.
But like the suspects, like when they were in jail, like all 5 of those guys, like I don't know who the fuck each person is.
Yeah. I don't know, man. What else do you guys have on this? I mean, the one thing I love about this film is that, I don't know if you guys noticed it a whole lot, but there's a lot of finger pointing in this film. Like everybody.
But in the other one, in the fucking Bay of Blood, there's the same thing though.
Yeah, but it's a little different though too, right? Because it's designed like that. This one is interesting because it really does kind of like, okay, you're the killer, it's like a lot of that back and forth and stuff, and it really does kind of keep you in suspense. You're like, the fuck is doing all this killing, man? Like, what the hell is going on? It's just like, holy shit, man.
There's some good kills in this film too,
and I like it because they do change up all the kills too. Things are, and again, with the brutal violence,
everybody bitches about Argento. What about this fucking guy?
Yeah, just the violent deaths, man. Like I always found that the one death where the girl gets her head burnt on that
man.
on that bell.
Yeah,
that's just the way it goes down, man. It's shot awesome too, man. You can see the terror, man. It's just like nasty.
You freaking really jerk. Cool. Like you just want to be like, what a jerk.
Yeah, man. But I do like, man, and there's some really good scenes. Like there's a scene where I won't give away the first one, but anyways, this body's being dragged around this corner, and coming back to the whole Mario Bava thing and his sexual kind of pokes and stuff. Well, when he's dragging the body across the ground, which I'll say is lit and shot beautifully, it's just it looks so beautiful. Her skirt comes like right up to her chest, right? And you can see like these old like 60s granny panties. I fucking love that. It's just like, again, sex and violence, man. He's just there you go. Enjoy the panty shop.
But these films weren't about the nudity.
Exactly, but it was all the sexual.
It was all sexualized.
It was everything. Almost every there's tons of scenes with shit like that that's just going on, and like you have to kind of like think about it for a second. Like, oh yeah, it is kind of sexual, even though they're granny panties. But
but that was the style. They weren't wearing thongs.
But he's doing it purposely, though, right? Yeah. Like that's designed, right? So I think that's kind of cool. But yeah, I really enjoy the kill. I think all the kills are like they're almost classy, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean? They're just
art. This is art.
They are. They're like really artsy kind of brutal killings. And it's but like watching a film like this, you can totally see where Argento got a lot of his style from.
That's why everybody say like, "Oh, Suspiria is such a beautiful movie." What about this fucking movie?
Well, that's the thing. Like,
I think people say that about this one too. But we just
Suspiria's
don't hear it as much.
Suspiria's lighting is generally just lifted right from this type of film.
Yeah.
Right. So
I think out of all, like, if you want to say, out of all 4 of these directors, this guy's an auteur, it would have to be Bava out of all of them. I mean, Argento.
Well, you didn't do the Fulci show as well.
Do you think Fulci's an auteur?
What's that?
Do you think Fulci is an auteur?
I would say so.
What does auteur mean again?
That the director is the sole artist of the film. like not the cinematographer or anything like that. Like Rob Zombie,
Yeah.
he has that unique type of style. Like
I would say that. I mean,
Fulci definitely has this fucking style. I mean,
for sure.
and if you even if you've seen or watched interviews with Fulci, man, he was very demanding, and he was all set in his ways. Like, yeah, he's definitely the designer behind that shit, man. Fulci, when you watch, any of the films, The Gates of Hell,
could arguably fit under that category.
Okay, so like it was like
easily
fucking 1960. I'll just give a brief history of Auteur. 1960 French New Wave directors writing criticism. They came up with this theory called the Auteur theory, that the directors are the sole artist of the film, and that's
and I mean, I
but it's kind of a term that has died over the years. I don't really think you see that many auteurs left.
Yeah, I think Rob Zombie was a good example of that.
Same with Ty West.
I was just gonna say Ty West definitely has that feel to his film.
Ty West too. But like besides them too, there's like not that many auteurs left that you go, oh, I'm watching this type of film. I know like Tarantino easily. Like when you're watching a Tarantino film.
Sure.
But it's like, oh, there's not that many directors around anymore. That when you pop in their movie, you go, oh, it's this director's movie because his style. It's not that many people left like that, which is unfortunate.
Sure. Yeah.
It's unfortunate.
One thing about this movie that you guys have discussed with the characters and stuff like that, and it is very much come to my attention also that the characters, you don't really get to know them a whole lot in this film. They're basically there by design to almost die and just take up space on the screen, and essentially a lot of times, like, you don't get in depth with a lot of the female characters and even the male characters and stuff, but oddly enough you do kind of become almost one with them anyways. It's kind of strange. Like, it's because they're not terrible characters. Is that what it is? Like, I always have this weird feeling when I'm watching this film. I'm like, man, I don't really know any of these characters.
Not even that. Like, I don't care about any characters in all three of these movies. I don't care.
Yeah, and
especially the next one. But this one, it's like, I don't care if they die.
Exactly,
you have no emotional attachment to them, and I think that Bava does that on purpose because he doesn't want you to have emotional connection to them because they're just gonna die anyway.
Well, I don't know. The thing is, I don't know, man. I think it is by design because he's not really creating. He's not, in this type of film. You think there would be, essentially, without going into spoilers and stuff, but like there's no real heroine, there's no real final girl to this, or it's not set up like that. These women are there for design, essentially.
I feel like there's a disconnect with older films in general. Like, I feel like a lot of older films I watch and I'm like, I don't really care for any of these characters. Now, I've always been the type of person to say, like, I don't really need that in a film. I did care when like, for example, when they stuck her face in the fire or whatever, like I cared. I was like, that's mean.
Yeah. I know, that's what I'm trying to say. It's oddly enough, you kind of feel for them when they're dying. You're just like, well, she's pretty damn innocent. She's not a terrible person, and she just got like fucking gnarled up. It's like, but again, they're there by design, and it's just beautiful murder.
See, my thing is, like, would an audience at the time care for the characters? And I think the answer might be yes.
Maybe.
I think that answer might be yes. That's why I don't think it was designed where the intention was for you not to care about them. I feel like people would, because there's more of a social connection. It's not so much of a disconnect when you're watching these people who are all old and probably a lot of them are dead.
So when you guys are watching this film, like, the mystery to it, like, do you have any idea, like, how the reveal is going to go? Did you have any idea how it was going to go? Or
a
little bit. And honestly, that coming into that's probably one of my negatives of the film. Like, I didn't feel like it was as believable as I would have hoped for, or as I was just kind of wanting something else. Maybe, I don't know. I did feel like it lent itself to some plot holes when it comes about and the whole reveal is done. You're like, oh yeah, okay.
Yeah, I don't know so much. Yeah, maybe minor plot holes and stuff, but I think this movie's really unique because once you've watched a lot of giallo films and stuff, like, the way it happens, like, there's a scene in the film where, it's not really giving the spoilers away, but there's a scene where the police officer, he goes, he kind of laughs about it, and he goes, well, I totally just gave him all an alibi.
Yeah.
Right? And it's like a total poke, and it's like, that's crazy. Like, you never see that in giallos, and being such an early one too, it's kind of a strange thing. And it's really interesting because if you, like I said, if you watch a lot of giallo films, generally the inspectors and there's always there always is that type of finale to the film, without giving anything away. This one is done a lot different. Is the crime solved? Is it not? I don't know. You guys will have to see it, but you know what I'm saying? It's just done a lot different. This one separates itself because it is a lot different. And I will agree, every time I watch the film, I don't think the reveal is the strongest by any means, but it's still fun enough for me. Like it doesn't really take a whole lot away from the film to me, to be honest, because of the difference of how this film ends up. You just don't see it a lot. It's very unique in that style.
But my thing was, it actually does affect my rating directly, the ending. That's the number one. The only real issue that I had with the film was I didn't really buy it.
Because when that certain person falls off the balcony, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen.
Yeah. Well, do you guys ready to get... Go ahead.
That's a little bit easy to figure out and stuff, but like I said though, if you've watched 30 or 40 giallos and you come back and see this one, you're like, man, this one really does stick out because they never go down like this, man. It's really fucking unique, man. It really is. Even though the reveal isn't the strongest, like I said, you'd be like, holy that is weird. That's
I
so
agree
different.
that it was the way that it happens is definitely unique, and I did like that about it. I just then the way that it's revealed, I like. The actual, then what you get out of it, when you look back and you're like, oh, so all this was, you start putting faces to things that happened previously in the film. That's where I kind of was like, didn't love it.
One thing about the movie that always kind of surprised me is, I always expect this movie to be a lot more bloody for some reason. It's
blood and black lace.
Well, that's probably part of it too, but just being a giallo.
You just got to think about when it was made, though. 1964 films still weren't that bloody yet.
Yeah, I it would have been a fucking perfect film.
Compared to 1971, I guess even in 1971 films weren't that gory yet, but then Bava pushed the boundaries.
He's got his moments in that film.
Yeah,
he definitely has his moments. The fucking
Yeah, but it's I could see that argument, I guess, though.
But just with that saying,
yeah.
This movie, the opportunity presents itself so, it's just so obvious that if you had a ton of blood, it'd just be that just perfect because the color scheme in this film would fit so perfect, right? Just have a shitload of blood, but the effects.
Yeah, but then again, at this time they were using that extra red blood.
But that's Italian, though. They did that always.
Yeah.
But
even later on, even Argento films, you have that bright red blood. That's just their style, I think.
Yeah, I don't really like it.
Yeah, it's not really my favorite type. It's not in all Italian films, by the way. There is normal looking blood in some films.
Yeah.
Trust me. There really is.
I'm not saying everything, but
well, you said that.
Okay. Well, I guess the OG guys.
I'm fucking with you, dude. But that's Hammer too. Hammer used a lot of that type of blood. Even American films. A lot of American films had that fake. It was of the time.
Yeah, I think.
It definitely was. One thing that I find interesting about this film is just the whole aesthetic and the art design of this film is solely because of the times though too, right? I mean, this movie was shot in 1964. It came out in 1964, right in the middle of the 60s, and it's kind of a product of its time, because the whole psychedelic 60s that were happening and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think Mario Bava just really kind of took that to an extreme though too. And he's just like, hey, we're gonna get real vibrant with this one.
Yeah, that's exactly. I just picture him just running with the idea, this color scheme and stuff. I love that. You want to get into ratings?
Sure.
Who's going first this time?
Not me.
I'll go first. I really, really, really like this film. The only thing that I had problem with was maybe some. I don't want to spoil stuff, but the ending. I'll just say the ending. Besides that, though, man, I really think that it's a great movie. Moodz did mention the characters weren't that likable, I guess, or you didn't really care for him that much, and I didn't really think of that when I watched it. But
no, it's not that they're not likable. I think it's just that you don't get it, totally engulfed in them personally. you know, but like I said, it's not really that much of a negative. It's just you don't get to know them, but it's also by design though too, right? Because it's a mystery that we're following.
Yeah, well, what I was
too.
saying was I didn't really notice it or care about it until you brought it up, and then after you did, I kind of was like, yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a negative as well. so because I started really thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Now that I think about it, I didn't really give a fuck about any of these people. So my rating though, I'm gonna come in with a strong 9 out of 10. I really do like this film a lot. It's definitely one I'll revisit, especially when that Arrow US version drops. I'll for sure grab that.
Well, the thing is, man, you can order this from UK. It's an AB release.
I know.
It's the same release that's coming out here.
Yeah,
right?
But I was just waiting on the one that's cheaper.
Well, I got this one for $7, for £7. So gotta hit those fucking Arrow sales up, man. They happen.
Yeah, there's one going on right now.
Is there actually a Black Friday sale? Yeah, fuck. I'm just still butthurt about the Severin Films thing. Anyway, sorry, Jeremy.
Let's see. You have your horror right here for you. All you gotta do is send me some money.
The horror.
Jeremy's training to be a cam girl.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
My flashlight and my.
God,
I said a cam girl.
Oh.
Alright, what's your rating, dude?
Well, I don't know. Now you're a fucking asshole.
What did you give it?
Nothing new with that.
Yeah,
9.
9 out of 10.
So you just copied
That's
me.
it. That's it. Just the 9.
You're not saying anything else. You just.
I ever say anything else?
What are you here for?
Yeah. You know.
Be verbally abused.
Again, I mean, this might even be a fucking world record, but like, you know, one thing.
Don't tell me you're
giving it a 10.
One thing that I fucking love.
How is this a perfect film?
How Bava. Well, I didn't. You know, just because a film is doesn't mean it's necessarily a perfect.
I've only gave 1 10 where I was like, this is a perfect film.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty. I mean, fuck. I mean, okay, I'm not going to get into the Back to the Future thing, but anyways, okay. So, but we have discussed this. You know, there is 10s, and it doesn't necessarily have to be like perfect. It's based on what you talk about, really. You know what it all comes down to, but. I just love the symbolism in this film. I mean, it's all speculation, you know, with the red and stuff, and it's just, you know, how this movie it's all motivated by murder, you know, and it showcases in every fucking scene and never lets you forget that this movie is about, you know, it's violent deaths, and I just love that whole aspect of it. I don't know if it's exactly what he's going for. I mean, it's just my interpretation, but I think it just works on so many different levels, you know, visually and, you know, aesthetically, and, you know, just everything about the film. 10 out of 10. That's all I'm saying. 10 out of 10.
Okay, so with a 9, and a 10, 9 from Jeremy, 9 from me, and a 10 from Moodz, that is once again another Hall of Famer. So Moodz did say that if I have anything my way, we'll have a few Hall of Famers doing these reviews. And
I actually thought that this one was not going to make it, though.
Yeah, I did
I thought
too.
for sure someone was going to come in at 8.5 and be like, well, the ending was kind of like, but
that's what I did.
Man, it's a fucking beautiful movie.
Yeah, and
you know what? Give it a rating just on that.
Yeah.
Oh, it's amazing. It really is.
I think there's a very strong case for a 10 on this film. Like Moodz said, I said that doesn't necessarily mean it's a perfect film. I've never really considered 10s perfect, but if you give Bay of Blood a 10, we might have an issue here. So if you want to go ahead and let's start with that review now.
Bay of Blood. Yeah.
You didn't say the newest Hall of Fame.
Oh, yeah. So it does qualify for the Hall of Fame. The newest edition.
With a total rating of what?
With a total rating of 28 out of 30. Okay. Jeremy, what is the film that is now in the Hall of Fame from 1964?
Oh, fuck. I'm going to fuck it up like I have. What did I call it last week? Like Black and Blue Lace or
He's
something?
looking it up right now. Stop looking it up. What's it called, Jeremy?
Black and Blood Lace.
Oh my god. This is so bad.
Blood and Black Lace. Blood and Black Lace.
Yeah, you got it right.
Black and Blue Lace.
Baby.
Alright, so
it's always the Jews' fault.
So Black and Blood Lace is now in the fucking Hall of Fame.
You knew it was coming, because you know I'm fucking dyslexic. See, I'm just...
Dialectic?
Dyslexic? Jesus.
Hell yeah.
And yet you talk so much shit when I spell your the other way.
That's different. Grammar's different.
Grammar's different. Yeah, you spell
everything
everything right and can't. You spell everything right and don't even know what it means. You don't.
No,
even
this is coming from the asshole who fucking bust my balls on horror trivia night for saying one fucking
for
thing
cheating.
Wrong. I wasn't
cheating.
Yeah,
I did bust your balls for
Edgar
cheating.
Allan Poe, one of the most famous writers, Elgar.
Yeah,
that is wrong.
But it was.
You said Elgar.
That's not a right answer, dude.
Who the hell is
you.
Elgar?
Fuck you.
Is that even a real name? Does
No,
anybody
that's
Elgar
what even
named
makes
Elgar?
it more ridiculous.
He's just making shit up, man. You know, that famous writer, Elgar.
All right. That's good. Let's get on to it.
Okay. All right. So moving along into 1971 and an official entry into the top 50 most influential films of the last 50 years. And of course, Derek had phoned in and mentioned that he had, this was his pick. So it goes out to you, Derek. A Bay of Blood from 1971, also known as Death of
fuck you, you a motherfucker.
Twitch of the Death Nerve.
Fuck
Sorry,
you.
I was.
But he caught himself. You
It
never
doesn't matter. Fuck
You're
you.
just retarded.
I said death. I said death
Fuck
because
you.
I'm looking at the word death. You know, sometimes when you're talking and you're
Call
looking
me
at the word,
fucking
you say it.
retarded. Fuck you.
Twitch of the Death Nerve, fucking Bloodbath. Oh my god, this movie has so many different titles. It's ridiculous.
Fucking retarded.
Yeah. So Twitch of the Death Nerve, Bloodbath, A Bay of Blood as we know it, and as we're reviewing it as from 1971. And like I've always said, this movie, in my opinion, is, the first bona fide, slasher film. I mean, this movie just it's the prototype for everything that we see later on.
This was released as Last House on the Left Part 2 at one time.
What the fuck? Really?
In the U.S. The USA reissue title.
That just makes no sense.
Well,
I get whatever. Okay. There's a little bit of water. There's a little bit of water here. Okay. All right.
There's
an
a
elderly.
house.
Okay. So the storyline here, the short and long of it. An elderly Harris is killed by her husband who wants control of her fortunes. What ensues? An all-out murder spree as relatives and friends attempt to reduce the inheritance playing field, complicated by some teenagers who decide to camp out in a dilapidated building on the estate. So, yes.
First act main cast Bloodbath.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Wait. And it's also known as New House on the Left.
My God, I know this. I think this movie might even have the world record for the most, alternate names.
Yeah, because it's like, in the United States, it was originally released as Carnage, then retitled Twitch of the Death Nerve. It's
Carnage.
Also
Carnage. Yeah.
It's also known as simply Bay of Blood, Last House on the Left Part 2, or Last House Part 2, and New House on the Left.
And it has the title of Ecology of a Crime as well.
The Internet Movie Database also lists Blath Blood Bay of Blood and Bloodbath Bay of Death.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And it was released in Italy at one time as Chain Reaction.
My God.
And the odor of flesh, and thus do we love to be evil before the fact. The ecology of crime.
So basically what we're
Chain
saying
Reaction.
Here, so what we're saying here is if you have any of these titles in your collection, this is the movie that we're talking about.
Yep.
Okay. So A Bay of Blood. Guys' thoughts on this one. Now, I mean, can you guys, after seeing the film, can you disagree that this is like the quintessential prototype for this movie is
first person and mirror shots and fucking everything.
But it's just like the whole setup, even with the teens, going to a random place and getting picked off. And then, I mean, there's a lot of, things that are happening in this film that are just portrayed later, come 1978 and 1980. Those films saw this film. Come on, they had to have.
Yeah, but just because it's influential doesn't mean it's good.
Okay,
well, no,
so
I'm saying this is,
prototype
for what we
have.
Yeah,
but I'm just
saying. It definitely is. It's definitely a for sure prototype slasher. It's right up there with Black Christmas and the other 70s ones that we bring up all the time.
I mean, as we've noted, the kills in this film were just completely duplicated too.
Yeah, it's almost like if you would take all these puzzle pieces and sort of rearrange them a little bit differently, it would be like a regular slasher film, but it's just slightly different.
Yeah, it's a little different based. Yeah, exactly.
Like I talked to some of my professors who were like that familiar with the horror genre, and they'd be like, "Yeah, did you see that rip-off film of Friday the 13th Part 2?" I was like, "You mean the film that ripped off Friday the 13th Part 2?"
You mean the film that Friday the 13th Part 2 ripped off? You mean?
Yeah.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Crazy.
No. Yeah. I mean, definitely. Very.
You know, this movie right here, it's funny, man, because if you've watched a lot of Mario Bava films, this movie right here to me feels like one of his most rushed movies. It just feels to me like everything wasn't choreographed and, you know, framed like how he wanted to, and he just kind of did his thing with this one, you know. And I think maybe it's based on, you know, the storyline for this one. He was just trying something a little different, subject matter and stuff. Like he just couldn't do it as, you know, as slow. And this one just has a different pace of the film, which allows it to kind of,
it kind of rush. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and it kind of comes out of Bava's elements, and you know, which again, this one, you know, is like purely pretty much outside and stuff, and you know, it's just in a different kind of setting and stuff. But I find he just kind of drops out of his elements a little bit here and just kind of lets shit fly, you know, quite literally, you know. But I don't know. This movie, every time I watch it, I have so much fun with it, because this has got to be one of the weirdest structured storylines that I think, you know, a lot of people when they watch this film do not get at all. Because the thing that really is interesting about this film is it starts out with the opening scene where, you know, the lady is killed and then Buddy goes and then he dies, blah, blah, blah. It starts out like a fucking giallo film. Yeah. It really does. Like a straight up giallo. You're like, holy, like who just fucking took out this guy? And you're like, holy shit. And then it just changes directions completely.
Like a summer camp slasher.
It does it, man. It's like set on a bay. So it's on the ocean, and it's quite clearly is, because like they're, you know, fishing for, you know, octopus and, you know, shit like that.
What's up with that squid? That was
squid, I mean. Baller. Yeah, and you know, shit like that. But then of course, you know, and then right away you're going, what the hell's going on? Okay, this opening scene happens, and then all of a sudden inject some teenagers, you know.
And what are they doing there? Did they say?
No, they literally just went there to go and hang out and swim and stuff like that.
And then they just break into a house.
Exactly, you know, just be shitty teenagers and do shady shit, right? So they show up, and of course it gets sleazy. You know, the girl gets naked and get muff shot and everything.
Really, I didn't think that girl who went swimming had much of a muff.
Yeah, well, because she was red haired, so I think it was kind of.
Yeah, I didn't see much of a muff. Yeah. I was looking for it.
Isn't that strange though? 1971, you were expecting like a huge
I was
bush,
looking for it. I was like, "Where's?"
I know it's kind of strange, but anyways, the point is like it just kind of gets sleazy right away, and I'm just like, oh, here's again the prototype for slash films. Here's the setup: teens getting naked, doing stupid things, and essentially all these teenagers get fucking picked off, and then the whole movie changes kind of directions and tone again, and then it gets like crazy. You have, you know, inject all these different type of characters, which you find out that are like family members that are going after this inheritance, and then shit just goes bananas. Yeah. It's just like the whole movie changes again, and it's like
a Family Feud.
Yeah,
it really is. Family Feud is a good way of wrapping up the whole story.
Well, we just came up with the 99th title.
Yeah, Family Feud. And that's essentially what this one is.
Thank you.
It's kind of interesting because, you know, it's just a bunch of people doing a lot of bad shit because
they're greedy assholes.
That's exactly what this whole movie is about. One word, it's about greed. This movie is about greed. So,
like I said, it's not a good movie, but it's definitely
or ratings. No, the whole movie. You guys agree? It's about greed. It's a greedy film. That's what it's essentially being.
Yeah.
I mean, these guys are supposed to be family members, and they're not really acting like family because do you kill your family members off?
Sometimes.
In 1971.
I know. So, like, you know, it's got like this kind of underline of just, you know, it's about greed, but created like this prototype for the whole.
What about the effects?
I think that's probably the most interesting reason to check this one out is for that like prototype slasher thing that you're seeing. Like it's a fun movie, I'm not gonna lie. Like I had fun with it. It's just like so fucking chaotic, man. Like you said, you know, the first act, you're introduced to those teenagers and you feel like, okay, it's going to go into the slasher territory, or it's going to create the slasher territory where we're like, you know, introduced to these characters. I'm sure that there's only 4 or 5, so I'm sure more have to come. But no, I guess not. And then they all die and you're like, well, okay. And
yeah, I know.
You know, it's in the first act, the whole cast is dead. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's not done like how other films have done it where it's like creative or anything. It's just messy in this one.
See, I always kind of compared this movie to like, I know, okay, before you guys get all but I always thought of this movie as comparative to Psycho in the fact that like you introduce all these characters, you introduce all these characters and they fucking die in the first third of the film, like the main character in Psycho.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird, and then the whole Psycho movie changes directions, and it kind of goes in this way, and then you get Psycho.
Yeah.
But it's kind of weird in this one. Like it does the same thing essentially. It introduces these characters, which you think are going to be like your main characters, and probably to the end at one point. Mm-hmm. Well, they get fucking killed off in the first 33 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And then you're like, what the hell? And then the whole movie switches gears. So the comparative, the contrast is, they're just kind of similar in setup.
Effects are great.
Yeah, the
effects are good, man.
Like I guess that fucking axe to the head. I'm like. Or machete or whatever the fuck.
I love that.
Dude, that's awesome.
I love that scene because when he's laying on the ground, he's still like alive and he's like, and like it's like in his fucking head and it's like close up. It's like so awesome.
I love the one with the chick and the thing that wraps around her throat.
Thanks, JP. Like... That helps so much. That chick.
Well,
there's a whole bunch of fucking chicks.
Well, if you would not be an idiot and let me like continue with my sentence, I would explain what chick.
You fucking retard.
Yes, you are. The redheaded chick who gets the thing. I don't know what that weapon would be called. It's like a knife that's curved, but that thing that's gnarly. That would hurt a little bit around the neck.
Yeah, I know that thing is that's a great kill, man. Again, shot really well too.
And that's Chainsaw Massacre.
And that's one thing that Bava does well in the film is he really does shoot the death scenes. Brutal, man. They're effective, man. All the kills, especially that one. That's actually probably one of my favorite kills in the movie. Is
it's my favorite
in the woods, and it's like brutal, man. It's just nasty violence and just awesome.
I love violence so much.
Yeah, man. See, that's the thing. You watch this movie and you got to go out and kill. No, I'm not saying go out and kill. Fuck, I don't want to get like flagged or something.
I don't know. I have to say the last kill is my favorite though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones, man. I mean, the body count in the movie is pretty high.
I think it's like 13.
And I mean, that's essentially what Bava was doing here, was trying to make a body count film. Essentially, I think that's what he was trying to do. It's just like, let's see what we can do here, and put 13 deaths on screen. I like that though. One thing about this movie I really do enjoy is the very kind of chaotic, oddly. Not presented, but oddly kind of showcase soundtrack in the movie. It's like this really kind of upbeat, jazzy, like late 60s, early 70s out of genre music. You guys notice the soundtrack in this is fucking strange. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like a weird soundtrack. I don't know what it is. If it's like it's more 60s or early 70s, but it's like this kind of like chaotic jazz thumping music. It's fucking weird, man. I don't know. I've always noticed the music in this one to be strange.
Yeah, I like it.
I do like it though. It's cool. It's different. So yeah. Yeah.
Want to talk about the ending?
The spear. Every time I see that,
awesome. Makes me laugh.
Every time I see that, I'm just like, yeah. How did they not know?
Yeah.
Because there was claims that I'd never seen Bay of Blood before. Mm-hmm. Oh no, I watched this other movie. It was called fucking Family Feud. Yeah, right. Fuck. But I don't know. I think what Bava, set out to do here was, just make a body count film, and I think he succeeded on all levels. I think it works. As chaotic as the storyline is in the film, it's oddly entertaining because you're like, what the fuck is going on here, man? And then it leads into the ending, which is like baller funny.
Yeah.
It's actually
fucking hilarious. I was dying.
It's funny. It actually is funny because just the look, man. I fucking laugh every time, man. It's just
but like that
funny, man.
That POV shot of the fucking shotgun out the window, I was just fucking pissing my pants laughing. It's so funny.
I know, right? It's just like
it's so out of left field too. It's like
it is, and I'm wondering why they came up with that idea. Like everyone's like, well, this is
I think
this is a good idea. That's how we're gonna end this film. And then he's like, fuck yeah.
No, I just think it's like, just a middle finger. Like, you were planning the film to end like this. Well, fuck you. We're gonna end it this way.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's how I read it.
I just felt like maybe it was just like, let's just do something weird. I don't know, man. I would really, really curious to even know, like, if he's ever talked about that.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, there's not really a whole lot of features going into, that part of, the filmmaking and stuff. So
when did Bava die? He had to die a long time ago, right?
1980.
Yeah,
Bava
so
died
there was
when I
no
was-
type of like interview features that were really being done at the time, so I doubt he talked about it too much.
Yeah, probably not. But yeah, it is pretty interesting. I mean, maybe it's just because the film itself is all wonky. It's chaotic. It's strange. It's just structured very oddly.
Mhm.
You know, and he's like, why not just kind of finish it off with a, you know, with a chaotic kind of maybe
It's
people laugh
fitting.
20,
If you look at
35
it that
years
way,
later.
it's definitely fitting. Where it's like, it's the mess to begin with. Why not have like a oddball ending? Like, I think that actually adds to like the status and history of where this film belongs in history.
You know, another weird thing about this film though is Bava and his reds, man. Like, you know, obviously, like this one isn't shot as beautiful, but it does have a lot of really kind of great moving cinematic shots and stuff in this film. He does do a good job with the cinematography. It's just not as great as you know, Blood and Black Lace, because you know this one's set at daytime. You know,
What was
you
his
can't
last
capture
movie?
Yeah,
his Shock, which was actually finished by Lamberto Bava's son.
Is that any good?
He got 6. Shock is good. Yeah, it's a good film. But yeah, you know, like the cinematography in the film actually is pretty decent at times. But you know, there's moments in this film where he has reds in in scenes again. Like everyone has a red phone in his movies. Like you have to have a red phone.
Well, yeah, especially his fucking last movie.
You know that? You notice that? It's
Oh
like,
yeah, the last movie it was all over.
Oh yeah. Well, everything's red. Of course, and it kind of makes you laugh though too. It's like, didn't anybody buy a different color phone back in those days? Like everybody has a red phone.
yeah.
But it carries over into this one too, and there's like red phones, and then you know someone will answer a phone, and then they get dead. They get dead. They get dead. And I'm just like, man, again with the red, blood shed. You know, red is the color, and it signifies blood, death. And he's just like rolling with that, man. He's like, you know, I used it in Blood and Black Lace. I'm going to continue this. And, you know, if you answer a phone that's red, you going to get dead. So
Is Lamberto still making movies?
Lamberto? Yeah, he's still doing things.
Yeah. I haven't seen anybody show any of his new movies, so.
Yeah. The most recent one I seen was Ghost Son. It was done in 2006. I know he's done stuff after that. It's probably just not available over here, but
yeah.
They seem to get into a lot of TV stuff.
Yeah, they do. A lot of the... I think I've heard many times that TV is like really big in Italy as it is like here.
Yeah, I mean, I the whole Bravado Giallo series, I actually reviewed all 4 of those films that Lamberto Bava did for that series. It was like a 4-movie series, and on my theme week that I did, and you know, so he was going right back to like the 80s and stuff with his TV, and just kind of, yeah, I guess it's just a big thing over there, right? You know, continued along throughout his whole career, so why not stick with it? But you know, it's essentially what you know, Soviet did too. Suave.
We're never gonna be able to say his name.
No, I always want to say Soviet. Like, I actually knew a guy
I always say
with that last name. Yeah, with that last name, and it was pronounced Soviet. So it's weird, but
so
it is what it is, man.
Ratings, dogs.
Okay.
One more
I was
thing?
just gonna mention just the close-ups of, you know, I think we might have mentioned the close-ups of his of his kills and stuff. He just I love that, man. It's really good, man. Oh, I gotta say, man, one thing in this film that always makes me gag, man, is the fucking body in the boat.
I was gonna mention that
it's
earlier, but
fucking
we got sidetracked.
Fuck, man. Every time I see that scene, it's just like, it just makes me gag because this thing is alive and it's actually like sucking on that body. I'm like, oh fuck. Makes me gag. It's gross. Ugh. But yeah, ratings.
Moodz, you go first this time.
All right. So, you know, as much as this movie's, you know, obviously very, very influential, as we can see on screen, you know, there's scenes that have been fucking basically ripped out of the film and put into their own. You know, I mean, this is not Mario Bava's, you know, crowning victory right here. But it is it's a very staple film, and it did a lot for horror films, you know, especially at the time. Like, this one's pretty fucking gory for the time.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, it's surprisingly gory too, and it's shot pretty intensely at times and things like that. But, you know, the storyline is beyond chaotic, and it's almost and it comes to the most laughable conclusion that you could possibly, you know, it's laughable in a fun way, and, you know, it's not like great or anything, but it's just hard to explain. It's something you got to see. But I think this movie is good for what it is. I don't think it's a masterpiece by any means. I think there is a lot of problems with it too, and things like that. And but I give this one a 9 out of 10. So
Okay.
I'm gonna get roasted.
I'll go next. You know, I think that probably the most thing of note is the year that it came out, 1971. Goddamn Wire. And you know,
Buzzing.
you think of films were like this were coming out in 1981, and this is 10 years before that. So it is interesting to think of it that way. I mean, shit, this was even 3 years before Texas Chainsaw. Still though, man, I just don't know if I'm willing to say that it's a good movie. I just don't know, and I find it an entertaining movie. I had fun with it. I think it's definitely entertaining if you like this stuff, which I do. I just don't think it's good, but I'm still gonna factor in some entertainment value and personal like, and I give it a 6.5 out of 10.
Shit. Wow, really?
That's low.
Okay, I wasn't expecting to go to that low. I was okay.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of JP. You heard me say a lot during the review that it's a okay movie. The storyline's fucking confusing. I had no idea who the hell any of these characters were besides the teenagers. But, and I guess the guy who liked to play with his Beatles, which he was fucking weird. But, I could give it a 7.5 out of 10 on this one.
Yeah, the Beatles. Ugh, Bugs and... Wow, look at Jeremy coming in higher than JP.
That did not reflect what you were saying about the movie. You're like, I'm going to get roasted on this one. And then
yeah, well, compared to 9 to fucking 7.5.
I'm not even surprised you came that high, to be honest.
Oh. Yeah, I was a little shocked, actually. But actually, both ratings shocked me because I was expecting JP to go a little higher and Jeremy to be, well, you know, stylistic the lowest. You know, it's his style.
Not this time, bitch.
But yeah, alrighty. So, I mean, coming back to being roasted on ratings, I think what Lawrence was trying to say in the first half, I couldn't quite make it out, but he did say he was saying 9. Maybe he was probably,
referring to the church, maybe, or
I didn't give the church. I think I gave the church an 8.5. I think he was referring to stage fright because he might have said stage and it cut out. He was probably referring to my rating being 9, which it's kind of interesting because most people seem to agree. I mean, Jeremy was like, "What the fuck?" Yeah, but I love that movie. But
stage fright,
it's not for everybody. But yeah, I think that's essentially what he was trying to say. I mean, it was really cutting out bad, and I was just trying to put the pieces together. So if that's what you were saying, maybe phone back in and try to get in a better. Fuck off. Give us a show. And no, just let us know, get into an area where you got some decent reception, because I don't know what was going on there. Your phone was farting all over the place. Shit. So, but anyways, guys, that is gonna do it.
Wait, hold up. Before we get Jeremy, what did you rate this film? 7.5?
Yeah.
You gave Stage Fright a 7. You think this is better than Stage Fright?
2 different movies.
They're not that different.
Gotta think that his
slasher films.
Yeah.
This one is chaotic.
I think you're being disingenuous.
Disingenuous.
I'm calling you out, motherfucker.
That's a 5-syllable word, dude. That's pretty good. Damn.
It's the only one he knows.
My most shocking word I said today was cunt. Good times. But yeah, guys, it's very, very, it's... I'm all depressed now, man. Italian month is over.
It is. Did you guys have fun? I had fun. It was so fun.
I don't have no idea.
Your fucking idea. Of course you're gonna have fun.
No idea what you just said there, but I'm gonna say that you had a lot of fun too.
Jeremy, lasagna. It was not even my idea. It wasn't really my idea. I just maybe I thought of doing it, but I think Moodz was instantly down, so it was a collaborative idea.
For what?
Italian month.
Oh, Italian. Oh, fuck, dude. You guys could have made that decision on your own. I would have been like, yeah, jumping aboard that fucking Italian salami.
Mm-hmm. Jeremy picked one of the next 2 weeks.
Oh, Jeremy always complains that he doesn't pick any of the shows. And we broke it down one time, and he actually had picked more shows than I did.
Definitely more.
It was so funny. I'm like, fuck.
I suggest.
That's what we all do.
But we seem to roll with your suggestions a lot more than you think we do. Jesus Christ.
I haven't picked one in a while.
Is that true? I don't know if it's true. It might be true. You picked Tales from the Crypt, douche.
I suggested it.
That's what we do. I've never picked one. I've suggested all of these.
Well, everything's a suggestion because then we kind of have to agree on it, and then we're like, "Okay, cool." That's what the process is. That's the process.
So technically, Moodz hasn't picked one since Madman, which was episode 54.
I picked Madman, actually.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Moodz
that
hasn't
wasn't me.
picked one since Centerfold Girls, episode 46.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, we're in 64. Centerfold Girls was cool, man.
Yeah, nobody listened to it. Dicks. That was a good
No,
episode.
man. It's because nobody knew what the title was, man. Fucking shame.
Yeah, that happens a lot, man. Like some of our better shows.
Spider Baby? Really, guys? Everyone thinks that's like some kind of killer spider movie, and
that's by far our least, like by a lot. It's our least viewed and listened to show. So every time we have a chance, we're gonna plug it. Check out Spider Baby.
Exactly.
Episode 39.
Yeah. Well, sadly to say, that is going to conclude our episode for, I think, the third time I try to say
We
that.
doing this next year, guys?
No.
Yes, we are. And
I guess we are then.
I was thinking like, you know what I mean, I didn't really want to repeat, but I already had a plan, and I was thinking like Ruggero Deodato, Umberto Lenzi, Sergio Martino.
Can we have one repeat? I would really
and
like
Lamberto
to do another
Bava.
Argento.
See those show, man, dude, those would be good, man. Like seriously, like Umberto Lenzi, Ruggero Deodato, fuck yeah, Lamberto Bava. We got to get father to son. That's some good choices here, man.
Yeah, I think
I just watched the Sergio Martino film, man. You just watched one of them.
Yeah, I liked it too.
And so he's done some pretty interesting flicks. Actually, he directed Torso. It's pretty cool.
I just felt like by the time we get to next year, these Synapse Argentos will probably be out. So maybe they might be out by then.
I wouldn't count on that, man. It's fucking Synapse, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm definitely down to revisit this yearly. I think it would be awesome, no matter what. Even if Jeremy doesn't want to, he gets outvoted. So,
so you can honestly say that you're not willing to
Jeremy,
do another Italian month.
You didn't think
have
this was fun?
I don't get.
He instantly was like, "No."
Like, I don't get it, man. Of course, he missed like fuck the Fulci show. It's like it's fucking Fulci, man. Jesus fucking.
So
Christ.
why no?
I think we should pick another country.
He's not even Oh, he's like, well, France.
No. Why? German splatters would be fun.
Hey, fuck it then, man. We're doing Canada. We're doing the
Canada Horror Month. That doesn't even sound right. Canada Horror Month, Canadian Horror Month.
I think every year, every November.
We've done a Canadian spotlight before.
I think every November it would be fun to do a different country. I'm just saying.
Yes, man. We do Ryan Nicholson. That's kind of like the start of a Canadian, theme right there. Mm-hmm. So,
is there like a director though? Would they be or like
Cronenberg?
Yeah, but is there another one?
Bob Clark.
Okay. Yeah, so I guess we could do a Canadian horror. What does the Canadian flag look like? Is it going to look right with the thumbnail?
And
it's red and white.
Maple flag and maple leaf in the middle of it.
See, but a poster's going to cover up the maple leaf, and you're not going to be able to tell it's a Canadian flag. It's just going to be problems, dude. I don't know if
there's not too many flags that are just red and white, though. I mean, there's a few, but I think people will figure it out. So,
but yeah, great month, man. I had a blast. I really did. I'm looking forward to visiting a lot of Italian films in the future. I still got half of the Black Cats set to go through, which is those special features on there are great, by the way, if anybody's curious.
Yeah, I got my set yesterday actually from Derek, and I opened it up and I was like looking at the features. I'm like, holy fuck, man, that set is so quality. Box, man, you could beat someone to death with that fucking.
Yeah, it's great. For those wondering what we're doing next week, I believe we are going to do Bound of Vengeance, barring Moodz has his copy.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. And if not, then we'll be doing something last minute, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I fucking hate waiting on especially this time of year, because the post slows down too, and it's just unpredictable as shit.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We'll see. We won't, confirm anything right now, but
the week after that, we're probably doing Good Night Mommy as well. Just, I know people have asked us to start telling them what we're gonna do so that they can watch the films.
Yeah. Okay.
Jeremy?
Cool.
You sure?
Yeah, take us out.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening to episode 64 of the 22 Shots of Moods and Horror podcast. As always, if you want to follow the man Moods himself, you could do so at youtube.com/Moodz616. And yes, he is a cunt. And as always, you can follow JP, a.k.a. the fucking Mexican asshole retard. You can do so at youtube.com/doubleshotj. So as you can follow me on my channel, youtube.com/NESRuler22. So as if you have any questions, you could phone us at 724-426-6665. And if you have any questions, you could leave us an email to 22shotsofmoodsandhorror@gmail.com. That's 22shotsofmoodsandhorror@gmail.com. And you can follow us at Twitter, twitter.com/22shotspodcast or twitter.com. Search bar 22 Shots Podcast. And as always, you can join us at the Facebook page, facebook.com, search bar 22 Shots of Moods and Horror. And that shall do it, folks, until next week, where we will be doing Bound to Vengeance, pending the fucking Canadian. So that should do it. We should talk to you guys next week. See you guys.